Stick with me, you and I are about to watch a wild reincarnation. Our main character, Gruhon, was a sentient sword, but after thousands of years, fate turned him into a chubby kid. And not just any kid, the most useless, arrogant, bossy little brat in the world. From that moment on, his entire life completely flipped upside down. Flashing back way into the past, Gruhon had met countless masters during his long life. He turned them into absolute historical legends, but then he finally met someone truly special. A guy who treated him like a real brother in arms, not just a weapon. He was just a nameless kid born in Leonberg village. But after surviving hundreds of brutal battles across the world with Gruhon, he slowly stepped up, achieving absolutely unmatched feats. Their biggest epic showdown happened at the eternally snow-covered Frost Mountains, and their opponent, a terrifying, legendary dragon straight out of myth. Leonberg struggled hard this time, but ultimately, relying on Gruhon's unmatched sharpness, they still managed to claim the final victory. After crushing that white dragon, Gruhon's comrade became the ruler of a massive kingdom, and Gruhon, with his dragon-slaying legend, he became the majestic national treasure. Gruhon, please take care of my descendants for me. Those were Leonberg's final words to Gruhon before passing away, and just like that, he was passed down to his incredibly worthy descendants, specifically all the future kings of the nation. Since the country was peaceful, Gruhon never had to fight again. He spent most of his time just sleeping deeply. Now pay attention, here is where it gets crazy. His long sleep was broken when some absolute idiot grabbed him and started shaking him violently. The noise from all sides made sleeping impossible. Opening his eyes, someone screamed right in his face, "From now on, I am this sword's master." "Your Highness, that is an item absolutely no one can touch except His Majesty." The surrounding servants were completely panicking, endlessly begging the idiot holding Gruhon to put him back in his original place. Based on that title, he immediately guessed this was a prince, but that exact fact left Gruhon feeling completely shocked. "A prince? This pig?" he thought silently. "Shut up, there is nothing in this country I cannot touch." The chubby kid yelled again. Gruhon had no idea what made this brat so furious, but he decided to use his judgment power to scan him from head to toe. When the results popped up, Gruhon was absolutely speechless, completely dumbfounded. This talking pig actually carried the Leonberg family name of his old comrade. Otherwise, Gruhon would never believe it was his descendant. His name was Adrian, 16 years old. Talent? 0. Traits included arrogance, extreme obesity, clumsiness, lust, laziness, being easily bullied, and a mana sensitivity disorder. You and I both agree reading Adrian's stats left Gruhon completely speechless. He just could not understand how such absolute trash existed among his legendary comrade's direct descendants. "As long as I have this, Father and those nobles cannot ignore me anymore," Adrian muttered quietly. Those words just made Gruhon feel this kid was completely ridiculous, only good at babbling absolute nonsense all day. Being touched by him disgusted Gruhon. Suddenly, Adrian lifted him high and shouted, acting super serious like a real ritual. "Oh great dragon-slaying sword, lend me your legendary power right now." "Are you totally insane? Why would I ever lend my power to a loser like you?" Gruhon thought. Then Adrian started swinging the sword wildly. It was pure messy instinct, literally 0 technique involved at all. The servants freaked out even more but could not approach him. "Your Highness, please calm down immediately. You absolutely cannot draw a sword inside the palace. Shut up. Who gave you permission to order me around?" Adrian roared, slashing Gruhon toward the servants. "Do you want to die? With Gruhon's power in my hands, trash, like you will pay the price." But that stupid kid could not even finish his dramatic sentence, because a second later, he tripped over his own feet. His chubby body lost balance, completely losing control of the blade. Just like that, Adrian's heavy body got brutally pierced by the very sword he was holding. Seeing that, knights and maids turned pale with fear. A terrifying scream echoed as knights ordered a maid to call the royal doctor immediately. But something incredibly weird happened to Gruhon. That kid was obviously the one stabbed, yet Gruhon felt his own vision slowly fading away. At this rate, he would pass out for the first time in his sword life. Speaking of Adrian, even though he was the first prince, a famous rumor circulated around the kingdom about him. People said if Prince Adrian ever took the throne, the kingdom would have 0 future. So what do you and I make of this? Harsh but true. Adrian inherited literally 0 royal talent. The madness starts now. Yet he easily ranks first in pure arrogance. He has absolute 0 talent, but his massive greed tops the entire kingdom. Let's dive into this together. Adrian is a cruel, unbelievably lazy fool, honestly. That is the most accurate way to describe the first prince of Leonberg. He is literally like a dark storm cloud hanging right over the kingdom's entire future. That exact prince got pierced straight through the stomach by the sacred sword Gruhon, hovering dangerously between life and death for several days. But when Adrian finally wakes up, a bizarre rumor immediately spreads through the palace. The first prince has completely changed into someone else. After serving his meals, the palace maids simply cannot hold back their juicy gossip with each other anymore. Hasn't Prince Adrian seemed a little bit different lately? Yeah, he actually stopped flipping the dining tables like a total maniac. He stopped hanging out with his shady crew too. I guess even our notorious first prince must feel a tiny bit of shame sometimes, right? I bet he is just keeping completely quiet out of pure fear. Give it some time, he will definitely go right back to his old habits. But Adrian hears every single word. Surprisingly, he does not get angry at all. Honestly, he literally does not care. Because this is not the original Adrian anymore. Still completely out of shape, sure, but the insane arrogance and absolute rudeness are gone. Now watch closely, the soul inside is actually Gruhon. He still cannot accept the wild truth. He accidentally skewered his old comrade's descendant, killing him, and completely hijacked the kid's body. Your Highness, His Majesty has arrived. Please fix your clothes to greet him. A terrified servant suddenly rushes in to announce the news. He never visited when I was literally dying, so why now? Gruhon, now living as Adrian, immediately snaps back in total annoyance. Your Highness, the royal knights are standing right nearby. Please be incredibly careful with your words. The maid replies with the most unbelievably awkward expression. Right then, a tall, highly imposing man suddenly appears directly behind her. He instantly glares at Adrian with literal daggers in his eyes, his tone making it super clear he is furious. I heard you just returned from death's door, but it seems your terrible temper has not changed one bit. He then turns his head to address the frightened maid. You can leave now. His Majesty is not expecting anything good from him anyway. He does not say it out loud, but Adrian's face clearly screams, who in the world is this guy anyway? Despite completely taking over the kid's body, he inherited absolutely zero memories of his past. Seeing Adrian stay completely silent, the intense man just keeps on talking to him. We are still master and student, yet you are too incredibly lazy to even pretend that you know me right now? Oh, so he is this pig's teacher. Adrian quickly thinks to himself, then starts complaining. Honestly, right now, my memories are an absolute mess. I feel like I should remember who you are, but I really do not. Hearing those words, the man's expression instantly changes in shock. And right at that exact moment, the current king finally arrives. Hearing the servant's announcement, Adrian cannot help but raise an eyebrow in curiosity. He really wants to see if this fat kid's father is just another hopelessly out of shape old man. I know what you're thinking, but the king actually looks way better than expected. Adrian totally thought time had diluted his old comrade's proud lion blood into absolute trash, but looking at the fierce king, that is definitely not the case here. His gaze is incredibly strict and freezing cold, acting as if the kid sitting right in front of him is not even his own flesh and blood. You cannot even bother to greet your father. Surviving a near-death experience really did not change who you are at all, did it? Your Majesty, I just heard that His Highness's memory is no longer fully intact. The tall man immediately reports the situation to the king. The second he stops talking, everyone around them starts whispering in absolute shock, calling this entire situation a massive disaster. Why didn't the royal doctor report something this unbelievably crucial? Quickly summon the physician here to fully re-examine His Highness right now. The king stays perfectly silent, silently agreeing. Soon after, Adrian is lying completely flat on the bed, getting a thorough top-to-bottom checkup from the doctor. But the confused old physician absolutely cannot find a single thing wrong with his physical body. So he can only conclude that Adrian must have suffered a massive emotional shock, causing him to experience some partial amnesia. The king's face turns even more fiercely serious now. Amnesia? Adrian suddenly sits up straight, directly facing his incredibly intense, calculating stare without flinching. He thought the king had figured out he was faking it, but instead, his father continues speaking with a furiously angry tone. How perfectly convenient. If you just say you cannot remember, does that mean every horrible thing you have ever done simply never happened? Sometimes people make the completely wrong choices. They might do terrible things that absolutely everyone in the world condemns. But if they realize their mistakes later and never repeat them again, that can actually be called a genuine learning process. But you conveniently forgot absolutely everything. Since it's like nothing ever happened, you haven't taken a single step forward from your terrible past sins. And that means you absolutely cannot step into the future either. Stick with me, because those incredibly heavy words just crashed down on Adrian. Alright, stick with me here. The king walks off, and our guy realizes reincarnating into this body feels exactly like stepping in literal dog crap. He's not just missing out on royal prince treatment, they are not even treating him like a basic human being anymore. Seriously, what kind of massive, unforgivable sins did this fat kid commit to end up in this pathetic state? But right as Adrian is questioning his new miserable reality, someone suddenly pulls him into a tight, desperate hug. Don't worry, I heard everything. You must be so confused right now, but your memories will come back to you soon enough. Those silly little details? It doesn't even matter if you remember them or not. Who would have thought your perfectly handsome face would end up looking this horribly haggard, my poor baby? The crying woman squeezes Adrian super tight, absolutely heartbroken for her boy. Meanwhile, he is just completely lost, wondering how this chubby, heavy body could ever be considered haggard at all. Even so, I am just so incredibly happy that you finally opened your eyes again. Please, you can never touch highly dangerous things like that ever again, because if something terrible happened and you didn't wake up next time, your mother would. Adrian's mom couldn't even finish her sentence, just hugging him even tighter. Honestly, this makes an old sword like him feel a little bit guilty, considering he's the one who literally skewered her real son straight to the afterlife. Finally, after endlessly fussing over her precious boy for hours, the hour grew late, and Adrian's mom left totally satisfied. As for him, he felt completely drained, exhausted in both body and soul. Back in the day, his loyal comrade begged him to protect his bloodline. Yet here Adrian is, having just accidentally eliminated one of those exact descendants. Sure, it was totally unintentional, but facts are facts. He is still the guy who completely finished off that fat little kid. It's already come to this, so what else can I do? I just have to live a ridiculously good life to make up for this dead kid. Adrian thinks to himself. Born as a literal weapon, he literally spent his entire past existence just cleaning up the massive messes left by other people. Now watch closely. Reincarnated as a human, he figures it's time to actually live a life truly worth living. With his mind made up, Adrian makes a firm choice. Starting today, he is going to heavily rebuild his lost power. After all, back when he was the legendary Gruhon, he raised countless magical prodigies. Doing it for himself now is the exact same thing. So, Adrian hops down from the chair, ready to kick things off by directly forging a brand new mana heart. He feels the pure mana flowing from all directions, taking a massive, forceful breath to pull it into his body. Then, Adrian carefully concentrates all that raw energy right into his chest. But the very second he thinks the mana is finally condensing, poof, it completely vanishes into thin air. Huh? Adrian sits there, absolutely stunned. The mana just scattered? Is this completely trash body unable to absorb it? Unwilling to accept defeat, he desperately tries one more time, but fails again. Adrian stubbornly tries another time, then twice, over and over again, but the brutal results don't improve even a single bit. Eventually, he gets so insanely tired, he collapses flat on the floor, questioning why on earth this kid possessed such absolutely garbage-level innate magical talent. Adrian was just completely devastated. If he still had his original sword body, he could easily fix this trash physique by forcibly cramming mana into it. But right now, that is just flat out impossible. Right in the middle of his absolute despair, a maid knocks on the door, bringing in a special recovery medicine sent straight from the queen herself. It might be a little bitter, but it will do wonders for your highness's body. Please consider the queen's genuine kindness. The poor maid's voice is literally trembling, terrified that Adrian is going to violently smash the bowl against the wall just like all his previous tantrums. But you and I know he's built different now. The second he looks at that bowl, Adrian instantly senses a massive amount of rich mana hidden inside it. So, without wasting a single word, he snatches the medicine and chugs it all in one crazy gulp. The maid is so utterly shocked, her eyes practically bulge out. In just a flash, Adrian totally drains the cup and casually slams it right back down onto the tray. Are you satisfied? Now get out. Not daring to stick around, she gives a frantic little nod and immediately scurries out of the room. Loaded up with all that fresh mana, Adrian eagerly decides to try the process one more time. And wouldn't you know it? This time, it actually works. Sure, the amount is tiny, and it's so incredibly weak it'll probably fade away in a single day, but Adrian still considers this a massive success in forging his mana heart. So naturally, he calls the terrified maid right back, demanding to know if she has any more of that exact same magical soup lying around. And just like that, a few days pass. Adrian is incredibly pleased with himself. He finally crafted a true, authentic mana heart, not just a pathetic little spark that dies out from a gentle breeze. He has done this entire process countless times in his past life. Right now, Adrian could easily forge a master-tier mana heart with his eyes wide shut. But before he can even begin to celebrate this epic victory, Adrian is suddenly hit with a heart-stopping wave of absolute agony. He feels as if his internal organs are literally catching fire, and his chest burns so intensely hot it might just explode right then and there. Sure, forging a brand new mana heart is always supposed to be a painful process, but Adrian never imagined it would hurt to this insane degree. He desperately fights through the blur, forcing himself to stay awake and not lose consciousness. Because if he actually passes out right now, a deadly mana backlash is absolutely guaranteed. So where does that leave us? Trust me, this takes guts. Despite the brutal torture, Adrian takes deep breaths, calmly focusing on controlling the wild, chaotic mana, threatening to destroy his entire body. No rushing, just pure focus. He directs the energy flow straight toward his heart, slowly letting every single drop of mana soak right in. Finally, everything stabilizes completely. The intense pain totally fades away, leaving Adrian absolutely mind-blown by how truly miraculous this whole process feels. Stick with me here because for the first time ever, he's forging a mana heart completely for himself. The sheer sense of achievement is absolutely thrilling. Honestly, if it wasn't for his extra heavy weight right now, Adrian would be jumping up and down to celebrate this epic victory. But then, something crazy happens. A glowing screen suddenly floats right in front of him. He can't touch it, but it simply refuses to disappear. It displays one single line of text. Mana Heart has been successfully created. This status window looks exactly like the system notifications he used to send to his past masters back when he was literally just a legendary sword. Talk about a crazy flashback. He has absolutely no idea why it's appearing for him now. Then, in the blink of an eye, the text shifts. System message reads, "Restoring origin connection. Connection has been restored, but the current status is extremely poor. Connection highly unstable. Most powers are currently unavailable, leaving only a tiny handful active. The power of judgment is now available, but at a severely limited capacity. He can now scan the potential of opponents at his level or lower. This massive flood of sudden system alerts completely makes Adrian's head spin. It's not just judgment. His 3 eyes, 3 ears ability also pops up, stating it's currently restricted to a heavily limited level. It just barely helps him see and hear things a bit clearer. You and I need to watch this closely. He tests his power, and even though the system says it's super limited, it still massively levels up his vision, letting him see way further. In the same way, Adrian easily picks up the quiet whispers of the maids gossiping right outside his door. He just can't keep this cheat active for very long. Why? Because his internal mana supply completely hits rock bottom. The system forcefully shuts down his ability, making him drop the power. Turns out, that severely limited warning wasn't about the strength of his skills at all. It was actually a hard cap on his total usage time. With the power turned on, he can flawlessly sense absolutely everything in every direction. Seriously, 0 blind spots whatsoever. But he just can't maintain it. Those god-tier absolute senses Adrian flexed back when he was the sword god are completely gone for now. For the moment, with the tiny scrap of mana he managed to squeeze out, eavesdropping is his only option. Or just seeing a little bit sharper. But honestly, even that small upgrade opens up massive hope for Adrian right now. He firmly believes things will take a crazy positive turn once he finally expands his internal mana pool. His fiery hype gets instantly ruined when his stomach starts aggressively growling. Oh right, he's actually stuck in a mortal human body now. Getting super hungry is just standard human biology. So the maids frantically scramble to prep his food, completely terrified that the Grand Prince will throw a massive tantrum if they're late. Then, right after lunch, the royal queen comes straight to visit Adrian. She looks incredibly moved seeing her son actually drink down every single drop of the health tonic she sent over. While she's busy fussing over Adrian, an intimidating guy with a scarred face suddenly walks in, radiating a super terrifying aura. The queen asks if he remembers him. I bet we both know the answer. Her son just shakes his head. The man scoffs, realizing the memory loss is totally real. The queen then begs her older brother to please help the poor kid out. After all, isn't he your one and only nephew? Hearing this, Adrian has a massive light bulb moment in his head. He was just wondering who this intense guy was. Turns out, it's the queen's older brother, making him his uncle. This uncle's absolute contempt for Adrian really isn't any different from the garbage treatment he gets from everyone else. Help him? The uncle sneers, acting like the kid lost something super important. Honestly, his past wasn't exactly anything great to begin with anyway. Adrian definitely isn't stupid. He can easily read the room and see that this so-called uncle totally despises him. Then the guy bluntly announces that the absolute only help he's willing to offer is making him burn off some of that extra fat, so they better drop any false hopes. But the queen is super grateful, saying that's more than enough. And just like that, Adrian officially falls straight into this demonic uncle's terrifying hands. To enforce this brutal weight loss boot camp, the guy declares that Adrian has to follow his orders with 0 questions. Eating, drinking, or even breathing, he needs direct permission to do literally anything. The uncle coldly tells him that if he expects prince treatment, he can completely forget about it. Put your back into it, and maybe I'll change my mind and teach you a tiny bit of our family's secret swordsmanship. That absolutely scornful smirk makes Adrian's blood entirely boil. It's wildly ridiculous. Back in his past life, he literally trained hundreds of completely invincible legendary knights, and he was the actual master of the very king who founded this entire freaking country. And yet, this random dude standing here actually wants to teach him, and with that massively arrogant, completely disrespectful attitude, the guy just keeps endlessly mocking Adrian's jiggling fat belly, pushing him closer to snapping. It makes him furious, and trust me, we both know what happens next. Stick with me here, because you and I are about to watch an epic bet. Adrian makes a deal. Uncle, let's bet. In half a year, I'll make you acknowledge me. If I fail, I'll do literally whatever you ask. But if I actually succeed, you owe me 1 wish. No questions asked. For his uncle, this was the very first time Adrian actually felt like a real human being. Amused by this sudden spark, his uncle quickly accepts the deal. As for Adrian, he just wanted to absolutely crush that arrogant look on the guy's face, which is why he talked so big. But the moment he actually starts training, reality hits hard. This cursed heavy body is way harder to control than he ever imagined. 3 steps into running, and he's already completely out of breath. Because of his massive weight, he's forced to channel his mana with one specific goal in mind, burning off all that full body fat. The absolute second Adrian uses mana, the older man's eyes shift completely. To confirm his growing suspicions, his uncle walks right up to him. "Hey Adrian, did you seriously just form a mana heart?" Seeing that shocked look on his uncle's face, Adrian feels incredibly smug. This is just the first step. He answers with pure arrogance. "Oh, you mean this little thing?" "Yeah, I made it a few days ago." "What, regretting our bet already?" But then his uncle snaps back. "What the hell are you thinking? Why on earth would you make a mana heart?" That single question instantly shatters Adrian's towering pride into tiny pieces. Looking closely, the pure disgust in his uncle's eyes has actually grown. "Where did you even learn that garbage method? You seriously have no idea what you did wrong, do you? A mana heart is a crude, trash-tier technique that only bottom-rank mercenaries ever bother to learn." Watch closely here, because his world just crashed. Those words hit like lightning, making Adrian feel like his recent hard work was an absolute joke. But right then, he flat-out refuses to accept it. Explaining it would take too long, so his uncle decides to use physical action to make him understand perfectly. A massively powerful ring of mana suddenly materializes right in his hand. Then, with just a casual wave of his arm, the mana covering Adrian's entire body gets instantly completely shattered. That right there is a mana chain, designed specifically to break the aura created by a basic mana heart. On top of that, it's way easier to form and infinitely more stable than the outdated mana heart. His uncle drops another massive bomb. Even the Eli family, who stubbornly clung to the old mana heart method, completely collapsed and faded into ruin over 100 years ago. In other words, literally nobody uses the mana heart anymore. The only reason Adrian is so hopelessly behind the times, because he took a ridiculously long nap inside a storage room, right up until this fat kid finally woke him up. Taking his massively bruised ego back to his room, he starts studying the basic theory of mana chains from a book, reading and constantly sighing in total disbelief. The times really have changed completely. In this modern era, mages use rings to cast, while knights weave complex chains to condense and control their mana. A knight's power tier is entirely based on how many chains they can weave. The absolute lowest is a single chain. Going higher, there's double chain, triple, quad, and 5 chains. The more he reads, the harder Adrian's headache gets. But this information wasn't entirely useless garbage. It's just that when he checks the book's author, a guy named Bruno Berdoff, the 8th generation heir of Werner Rachel, and 16th generation disciple of the Mana Chain's original founder, a man named Ernest Hanchagen. You and I are thinking the same thing. That name sounds super familiar, right? Adrian is absolutely positive he's seen Ernest Hanchagen before. After digging deep into his past memories, it finally clicks. A really long time ago, Ernest actually came looking for him back when he was literally just a sword. After dropping his name, the guy boldly claimed he was there to see who actually deserved the legendary title of Sword Saint. In Adrian's mind, Ernest was just some weirdo using bizarre dark arts, not real swordplay, not real magic. Who would have guessed that Freak would eventually become the legendary founder of mana chains? Early the very next morning, Adrian still wakes up to train. But it doesn't take long before he bumps into his uncle's annoying face again. You read that book last night, didn't you? So now you finally understand just how incredibly stupid your chosen training method really is. Adrian fully expected this exact condescending attitude from him, so he stubbornly claps back without missing a single beat. Actually, I still don't see anything wrong with what I'm doing. Hearing that, his uncle's eyebrows instantly knit together in anger. He asks Adrian again, "Are you just refusing to admit your mistake, or do you still honestly not grasp the situation?" But to Adrian, a master who literally forged hundreds of unbeatable mana hearts in his prime, the method isn't flawed at all. It's just that his skills were top tier, and future generations simply didn't have the insane talent required to maintain that technique's true power. Seeing his nephew acting this impossibly stubborn, the uncle lets out a massive, exhausted sigh. "I was wondering what kind of nonsense you'd spit out. Every now and then, you see pathetic mercenaries exactly like you. Delusional fools who hallucinate that they're legendary heroes from centuries ago. Do you have any idea how they all end up? So what happens next? Trust me, it's wild. They all get crushed by a mere double-chain knight. If you claim you're different, go prove it by beating one yourself." Along with that challenge, Adrian's uncle makes a promise. If the kid actually wins, he will accept the role of his official guardian, exactly what the queen wanted. But Adrian plays it cool, asking straight up, "Is having you as my guardian even good for me?" "I am not so sure. Look, you and I know that was bold." The air between them instantly turns explosive. Adrian's uncle feels totally disrespected. Questioning his qualifications as a guardian, that is a massive insult to his pride. I mean, the man is literally a ruling count of the kingdom. Supreme Commander of the Northern Army, Master of the Black Spear, and one of the 5 silver-maned lions serving His Majesty. A 4-ring mana user, the 4-chain knight, Vale Ballowhat. That is the name of the man who could be your guardian. Vale hisses in pure rage. At the same time, he releases a massive wave of mana straight at his nephew. "Are those qualifications enough, you brat?" That terrifying mana pressure nearly drops Adrian to his knees, tiny cuts opening on his face, leaking bright red blood. Right at that moment, several royal knights nearby draw their swords in unison, pointing them directly at Vale. They demand that he stand down immediately. "Count or not, you do not get to injure a royal prince." Now watch this shift. Adrian just felt his uncle's true power, and his battle instincts have officially been triggered. From this second on, he is absolutely determined to make this absolute beast his guardian. "Fine, just do not go back on your word." A little while later, Adrian's brutal training session finally wraps up. He is so exhausted he can barely breathe. For a second there, he really thought he was going to die and meet his old comrades. Adrian's body is falling apart, but just thinking about Vale's disgusted glare, yeah, he refuses to give up. That demonic old man, he will definitely not lose to him. Adrian drags his battered physical body all the way back to his chambers. Pushing the door open, someone is already inside waiting. Adrian recognizes him, the royal doctor who examined him before. "It is an honor you remember someone as humble as me." The royal doctor bows respectfully. Adrian has zero clue why this guy is here. After a quick chat, it turns out the queen ordered him to use healing magic on her son. But before the doctor can even cast a single spell, Adrian literally kicks him out of the room. He cannot let all the brutal pain he just endured today go to waste like that. No magic shortcuts. Seeing Adrian act like this completely shocks his personal knight. It is like the person standing right in front of him is not the first prince they knew. The maid brings in some food to finally satisfy Adrian's completely empty, rumbling stomach. But stick with me, today is honestly just an endlessly chaotic day. He barely swallows 2 spoonfuls of soup before another totally uninvited guest shows up. "Is my royal older brother in here?" The guy kicks the door wide open, his face packed with arrogance and pure provocation. Adrian just takes another bite of soup, wondering, who the heck is this? His personal knight, completely used to the first prince's amnesia by now, whispers into Adrian's ear. "That guy? That is His Highness, the 3rd prince. Their relationship? Clearly garbage. The proof is how this brat starts mocking him the absolute second he steps into the room. I heard you had an accident, but you look way healthier than I expected. What a massive shame. Yeah? So what do you actually want? You here to start something? Are princes really that bored?" Adrian replies with pure cold indifference. The third prince glares right back at him, his eyes completely packed with pure hostility. In his head, he curses Adrian for sounding like an idiot, just like when he stabbed himself a few days ago. Meanwhile, Adrian could not care less. He just keeps eating his dinner. I just heard some pretty interesting news. Word is, you made a crazy bet with Count Ballowhat? About wanting to fight a two-chain knight? The third prince speaks up again, his voice absolutely dripping with heavy mockery. Regarding that, what a coincidence. I could actually be your opponent right now. How about it? Saying that, he cannot help but smile with pure malice. He is definitely already picturing himself completely humiliating Adrian inside the arena. The third prince's utterly ridiculous attitude makes Adrian feel absolutely allergic to this guy, wondering why the modern descendants of Leonberg are all such massive clowns. Seeing Adrian still clueless about this guy, the knight has to brief him again. His Highness, Third Prince Jillian, has been famous for his sword talent since childhood. At just 14, he already formed 2 mana rings. That growth speed is honestly insanely fast, according to the knight. Adrian is completely stunned, and you and I can totally see why the ridiculous brat gesturing before him does not look like a two-chain knight at all. Right on cue, a flustered maid steps forward. Your Highness, I am so incredibly sorry for interrupting. But these letters were sent directly to you, sir. The maid walks in, carrying a massive tray completely overflowing with stacks of mail. Stick with me here. Adrian is totally confused. Wasn't the original owner of this body treated like an absolute ghost by everyone around him? Why the sudden avalanche of mail? He casually grabs a random letter from the pile, but as he reads the contents, his eyebrows instantly pull together in a tight scowl. The atmosphere inside the room suddenly drops into dead silence. Turns out, every single one of these envelopes is from the Twin Chain Knights demanding a sparring match with Adrian. The words sound super sincere, with all of them claiming they just want to act as his personal punching bag so he can improve his skills. But he knows exactly what these guys are really after. They want to mess with him, and this is a totally legal excuse to just beat him up for fun. Honestly, Adrian takes this as a massive insult. Looks like in their eyes, he's just turned into an incredibly easy target for them to bully. Without missing a beat, he turns to the maid and orders her to write down every single name from today's pile of sparring requests. Oh, he's definitely going to settle the score with them later. After finishing his meal, Adrian heads right back to the training grounds. He originally planned to keep focusing on his fat loss routine today, but then Veo suddenly shows up and tosses him a standard wooden sword. Before Adrian can even figure out what the old man is trying to do, Veo speaks up. Pick up the sword. You need at least some basic swordsmanship if we are going to make this bet actually count. I am not going to listen to you crying about losing just because you were never taught the absolute basics. You could have just handed it to me normally. What a completely awful personality. Adrian silently curses the guy while bending down to grab the weapon, but as he stands up, his overly tense muscles instantly shoot a wave of sharp pain through his body, making him yelp out loud. Seeing this incredibly weird reaction from his absolute train wreck of a nephew, Veo steps forward and asks, "You didn't get any magic healing? You are a knight, uncle, so you should know that magic healing only brings your muscles back to their original state instead of actually helping them grow stronger." Now pay close attention here. That answer catches Veo completely off guard. Sure, he already knew that fact, but what genuinely shocks him is that this formerly lazy, useless, overweight kid is now willingly taking the raw pain of skipping magic healing just so his muscles can actually develop the natural way. Whatever, I wasn't planning on discussing that today anyway. The old man completely brushes the whole muscle topic to the side. I am not going to show you this multiple times, so you better watch closely. This is the exact technique every single Kingdom Knight learns to build their foundation, the official Kingdom training sword art. Right after saying that, Veo immediately demonstrates this supposedly basic sword style for Adrian. Even though it is just foundational knowledge, seeing it in his hands makes it look incredibly powerful and seriously intimidating. Adrian watches without even blinking, and by the time Veo finally finishes his little demonstration, the kid's jaw is basically glued to the floor. Did you just say this is merely the sword art knights use to build their foundation? Looking at Adrian's utterly stunned expression, Veo assumes this tiny bit of basic swordplay has completely blinded him, making the old man look down on him even more. Yeah, since it's just a training art, it might lack real sharpness, but it strictly follows the fundamentals, so there is literally no better starting point. Only, considering your absolute garbage talent, this might still be way too much for you. Veo's sentence gets cut right off by the sound of Adrian laughing. He glances over to see the boy clutching his face, laughing with an incredibly self-deprecating vibe. Veo has no idea what this weird attitude means, but Adrian's emotions right now are ridiculously complicated. I know what you're thinking, but get this. That technique he just watched? It's the exact same art his comrade used centuries ago to hunt the white dragon. The great sword art that literally decapitated that insane dragon, after all this time, is now treated as some basic, mediocre training exercise. This situation is just absolutely hilarious. Of course, relying on this alone definitely won't be enough for you to win our bet. Vio keeps talking. After you finally master the fundamentals, you can go beg your mother to hire a totally different instructor. Or maybe... No need, Adrian interrupts the guy immediately. He declares that he absolutely won't learn any other sword techniques, because this specific one is already more than enough. Veo wants to say something else, but stops himself, finally just leaving two simple words: suit yourself. Seeing how that man treats the legendary dragon-slaying sword art like some basic amateur moves makes Adrian completely furious. He violently smashes the wooden blade in his hand right into the ground just to vent out his massive frustration. Even though it barely helps, seeing the dragon-slaying art turn into something so incredibly mediocre after centuries is just painfully hard to accept. But Adrian has to admit that maybe this decline was honestly just inevitable. Because besides his old comrade back then, every single future generation learning this style lacked the most crucial element ever: the sheer will to slay dragons. Anyone who tossed away their mana heart and totally forgot how to channel willpower into a blade would never have the eyes to see this art's true worth. Trust me, you're gonna want to see what happens next as Adrian swings that sword again. Alright, stick with me here. Vio blocks him again, barking that rigid arms won't channel power. He steps up to fix his form. Did you forget my lessons? Use your stomach and legs. Vio smacks Adrian's chubby stomach and legs with his wooden sword, making him wince. You have to route the force through your whole body to swing right. It hurts like crazy. And honestly, taking lectures from that arrogant face is incredibly annoying. But Adrian has to admit it. This body is painfully weak. So weak that even copying the basic Dragon Slayer sword arts looks completely pathetic. Still, he wants to prove this legendary technique is not just old garbage to be thrown away. Modern knights treat the Dragon Slayer arts like a joke, but Adrian is grinding harder than anyone. Time keeps ticking. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days soon, a whole week flashes by. He focuses purely on losing weight, practicing sword strikes, and refining his mana. A whole month passes. The system finally pops up. Adrian has successfully transformed his physical body. After all that brutal training, his extreme obesity condition downgraded into just regular, everyday extra weight. His metabolism is firing up now, and he is finally getting used to how this new body moves. Thanks to endless repetition, the clumsiness trait is totally gone. His physical performance just got a massive upgrade. He might not be skinny yet, but his movements are razor sharp. His actual constitution has evolved. By steadily stacking up his mana, that annoying mana disruption trait has completely vanished into thin air. Instead, he just unlocked the mana sensing trait. Adrian is super satisfied with these gains, but he is definitely not stopping to take a break. He swings his sword every single day, feeling himself get stronger, constantly pushing toward absolute perfection every second. Now pay attention to this part. Vio is screaming at him to stop, but Adrian is training like a maniac. Completely deaf to the world, it takes Vio drawing a real blade and snapping his wooden sword in half to finally wake him up. Only then does Adrian realize it is raining heavily, with blood dripping from his own hands right into the muddy puddles on the ground. He was in the zone so deep, he did not even notice his uncle walking up to him. Veo is absolutely furious. He grabs Adrian by the collar and roars, "You absolute fool! Training in this heavy rain. If you were holding a real metal sword, you would be dead meat." That is when Adrian finally looks down at his bruised, bleeding, torn-up palms. Lightning literally just struck the metal parts of his training dummies. They are over there right now, sizzling and burning. And he did not notice a single thing. Meanwhile, the system drops a brand new alert. He exited the extreme focus state, but his muscles remember the sensation. A new trait, hyper-focus, has just been created. Staring at the glowing screen, Adrian lets out a self-deprecating laugh. If Vio had not shown up, and he stayed locked in that deep trance, a lightning bolt would have definitely fried him alive. After realizing that, his mind goes blank. His energy is completely drained, and he passes out cold. Veo catches his falling nephew, his face showing a wildly complicated mix of emotions. "What an idiot," he mutters. When Adrian wakes up, he is resting in his own private room. He cannot believe he actually collapsed and blacked out like that. I know what you were thinking. He pushed too hard. But you cannot blame his obsession with getting stronger. Because in his past life as the Sword Saint, he achieved everything. From nameless war hero, sword master, mercenary king, to founding father, he literally led the war to absolute victory, elevating his body and soul, guiding those famous heroes down the right path. Back then, Gruhon was not just an empty blade, it was a brilliant strategist and a truly outstanding teacher. But despite all that, he was just a bystander. So getting his own body after hundreds of years, he just got addicted to swinging. Hitting that intense focus state, Adrian was purely enjoying the rush of turning his own sweat and effort into real, tangible results. But today's near-death incident was a massive wake-up call. If he keeps this up, his fragile body will break down before he even starts. He desperately needs to balance his mind and physical limits. It has been a month since forming his mana heart, and he gathered plenty. He is definitely ready for the next stage. Adrian sits up straight, tunes into his body, and starts condensing his mana core. Moments later, a system window flashes right in front of him, confirming that through pure dedication, Adrian has successfully stacked his mana to a major threshold. So his mana heart expanded to hold even more power. And trust me, you and I are going to love what he does next. Let's jump right back in. His maximum mana capacity just shot up. Plus, that expanded mana heart is physically upgrading his entire body, even if it's just a little bit. Adrian is absolutely thrilled. His first thought? Ditch the training toy and grab a real blade. After all, the system just announced he finally leveled up to the apprentice swordsman rank. Epic upgrade. He can finally use the most basic aura tier now. Staring at that sharp steel coated in thick, raw mana, a deeply satisfied smirk spreads across Adrian's face. With this, I can finally master the absolute basics. Next day, the wooden sword is history. But mid-training, Uncle Veo shows up looking seriously annoyed. He says rumors about their uncle and nephew bet have completely taken over the entire kingdom. All that gossip actually has even Veo feeling super irritated. Wouldn't it be way better to just pick a dual opponent already? Veo suggests this, hoping that once a target is locked, those other twin chain knights will finally give up on fighting him and stop making such a huge racket. Oh, about that? A seriously sinister smile instantly flashes right across Adrian's face. Now pay attention here. He already chose his target. It's unspoken, but obviously, he's gunning for that annoying, arrogant brat Julian. But since he just doesn't have the raw power to face a twin chain opponent right away, he asks Veo to let him warm up by sparring with some single chain knights first. Veo doesn't object at all. Adrian turns to his loyal knight. Carls, what about my request? Yes, Your Highness, I have arranged everything exactly as you commanded. Here is the list of guys demanding a duel. Carls hands over a massively long paper trail, looking pretty anxious. But Your Highness, are you actually planning to use them for practice? Is there a problem with that? Adrian fires back. Carls is sweating bullets. Almost everyone on this list holds a serious grudge against the prince. He's terrified they'll use the duel as an excuse to legally hurt Adrian. Surprisingly, Adrian totally shrugs it off. He already knew, and he actually wants to use this chance to teach those guys a harsh lesson. To keep things fair, he insists on having Veo act as the official referee for these matches. I am not demanding anything crazy here. Please just stop anyone from dying while they fight me. You can handle a tiny favor like that, right? That absolute arrogance wins Veo over. Honestly, he just wants to see if the kid's skills actually match that massive ego. So, Veo totally agrees. Just a few days later, match 1 kicks off. The opponent? Taylor Talheim, the second son of a totally average baron. Standing in front of Adrian's lavish palace, Taylor absolutely cannot hide his boiling rage. Let that sink in for a second. This grudge runs deep. Years ago at a huge party, the original obnoxious Adrian completely trashed the Talheim family in front of everyone. His exact words? Look at this trash. Their clothes and manners just reek of the dirt-poor countryside. Look at them, wearing so much junk just because they got invited to a royal party. Because of that, Taylor's father and older brother suffered permanent, absolutely crushing humiliation. Their family honor got dragged straight through the mud. Even now, the Talheim name is a complete joke among the nobles. Taylor swore to himself that today, he would make Adrian pay an incredibly heavy price. Little did he know, the guy standing right in front of him is definitely not the same brat who mocked his family. Packing maximum hostility, Taylor tries his hardest to act super respectful, but those glaring eyes of his definitely cannot lie. Greetings, Your Highness. First Prince Adrian Leonberg. I am Taylor, second son of Talheim, a single-chain apprentice knight, and I proudly practice the Talheim family swordsmanship. I am truly honored to spar with Your Highness. That overly stiff attitude actually makes Adrian feel a weird kind of pressure. Not pressure because he's scared of losing, but because this feels way too formal for a totally basic practice match. Plus, He absolutely does not rate Taylor highly at all. He turns to Carls and flat out asks, "Is he really a knight? He looks so incredibly weak." That completely dismissive attitude drives Taylor insane. It totally confirms his prejudice. The prince is just a rude, arrogant punk with zero common sense. Pure rage makes Taylor completely lose control of his facial expressions, right up until Veo finally steps in to warn him. "That is enough. I understand exactly how you feel. The match hasn't even started yet, so reel in that killing intent." Taylor flinches. And that's where we leave it. Unlike his blazing hatred for Adrian, one look at Veo, and his eyes fill with absolute hero worship. He pulls back his sword, drops a perfect 90-degree bow, and starts sucking up. "Lord Baleheart, such an honor." "Yeah, nice to meet you too," Velo replies politely. Watching this unfold, Adrian literally cannot help but pout. Seriously, if you didn't know them, you would absolutely think Velo was the actual prince. I know what you are thinking. Taylor is totally ignoring his actual opponent, giving Adrian zero respect. If you knew this would happen, you should have behaved better back then. Velo takes this perfect chance to completely lecture his absolute headache of a nephew. And Adrian? Yeah. He is clearly annoyed that the old man keeps bringing up past drama over and over again. After all, the old Adrian did that stuff. The chubby kid, not him. Anyway, let us brush past those useless details for now. With Velo acting as referee, Adrian and Taylor finally take their starting positions. The duel officially begins right here. They are glaring daggers at each other, both absolutely locked in. By now, Taylor cannot even hide his raw killing intent. The mana inside his body completely erupts into a massive aura. "Well then, Your Highness, please be careful." The second those words leave his mouth, Taylor charges straight forward. He wants this fight over fast. When he is just 3 steps away, he stomps the ground hard, launching himself right into the air. Taylor's blade is totally primed and ready for a crushing downward strike. He honestly thinks Adrian is going to be an easy win, but to Adrian, this guy is just a clumsy clown wasting energy with way too many extra movements. Adrian simply raises his blade, using barely any effort at all, yet he completely blocks Taylor's incredibly heavy strike dead in its tracks. From this single clash, Taylor suddenly realizes Adrian's power actually comes from a mana heart, not the standard mana chains that normal knights use. But honestly, that discovery just makes Taylor feel completely confused. Now pay attention here. In theory, a basic mana heart should never be able to block mana chains. Is it because Taylor is only at the single chain level? No wonder it just feels a little tingly, Adrian mutters to himself. His face has this look that completely dismisses his opponent as a total joke. He seriously looks so punchable right now. Right then, Taylor, Velo, and all the other knights suddenly notice something strange. An unusual vibration is echoing from the sword in Adrian's hand. It actually looks like sword resonance. Adrian seems a bit zoned out, not even realizing it. Meanwhile, Taylor just absolutely refuses to accept that his attack was blocked so easily. He grips his weapon tight and charges right back in. But his mind is completely rattled, so the mana he is controlling is getting super chaotic and messy. Right as Taylor gets super close, a distracted Adrian finally snaps back to reality. Thankfully, he is still fast enough to bring his sword up and block. He lets out a grunt as the two blades violently crash together. Honestly, this guy's raw physical strength is actually terrifying, which makes absolutely zero sense considering he looks incredibly fragile, like a weak leaf blowing in the wind. On the other side, Taylor keeps forcing his weight forward, desperately trying to push Adrian back and claim the upper hand. The intense friction between these two razor-sharp swords instantly makes the entire atmosphere feel incredibly heavy and oppressive. Adrian actually gets pushed back a few steps, his body finally showing signs of buckling under the massive pressure. But right across from him, Taylor is heavily panting too. Adrian thinks to himself, people always say that mana chains are completely incompatible with a mana heart. And that saying is absolutely spot on. I feel like mana backflow could literally trigger at any second now. But even with all that danger, he still does not forget to mock his opponent. You said you were the second son of Baron Teltham, right? I think you need to cool your head down a bit. Saying that, Adrian shuts his eyes tight and starts hyper-focusing all of his senses. His entire body feels like it is sinking into freezing cold water. But weirdly enough, it makes Adrian completely snap awake and focus. And that is the true condition for awakening. Whether it is a magic sword, holy sword, or something else entirely, they are all just pieces of Adrian's past soul as Rohan. Stick with me, because his absolute focus triggers something truly wild right here. Right at this moment, the system confirms that Adrian's mana heart has just absorbed a genuinely colossal burst of willpower. A single brilliant color blooms inside his colorless mana heart. The miracle moment is finally here, as Adrian successfully awakens the dormant Dragon Slayer intent that has slept for years. The sword's memories from its very last awakening completely fuse together with the pure essence of a heart forged specifically to slaughter dragons. This instantly activates the Dragon Slayer heart. Adrian can feel endless, overwhelming power fiercely surging straight through every single vein in his body. Forged solely for the absolute purpose of hunting dragons, this right here is the true, raw power of the Dragon Slayer sword technique. The pure energy pouring out of the Dragon Slayer heart flawlessly merges into his signature sword technique. And that unhideable, terrifying power radiating off Adrian is so intense that Taylor actually starts trembling and stops his attack completely. Velo suddenly screams out at the top of his lungs, completely realizing that Adrian's entire aura has violently shifted. Right now, Taylor's actual life is in very genuine, immediate danger. But even so, Adrian does not stop his blade. At this exact moment, he shoots toward him like a literal arrow blasted right off a bowstring. Right before the duel began, he purposely made a request. Velo, before we start this match, I need a quick favor from you. Velo looked super confused and asked what it was. Rohan's eyes flashed sharp. If it looks like I am about to straight up murder my opponent, his voice echoes back at the last second. So what do you and I learn from this? You absolutely must step in and block my final strike. Let us dive right in. The impact sends him flying. The massive power gap slams Gruhon straight into the wall. Veo just watches coldly after landing that hit. He slowly steps toward the young man, but before he can even get close, two sharp swords are suddenly pressed right against his throat. The lead guard screams out in absolute panic. Count Van Hast, what exactly do you think you are doing? You could face serious punishment for daring to attack the royal family. Gruhon heavily struggles to support his own chubby body. Step back right now. I am the one who requested this. The loyal guard looks absolutely heartbroken. Your Highness, Gruhon firmly repeats himself through the pain. Yes, I am the one who asked for it, but I never said to knock me completely flat on the ground. He barely finishes his sentence before passing out on the spot, totally startling all the royal guards. Your Highness! The scene abruptly shifts as a flickering blue flame wraps right around Gruhon's heart. He rubs his chest, clearly unhappy. My heart force almost actually shattered. Gruhon tries to mentally process everything that just happened. Just as he expected, Veo's overwhelming power is on an entirely different level. Compared to someone using just a single chain, I took an absolute direct hit. He finally concludes to himself, luckily there seems to be no lasting damage at all. Despite the intense pain, Gruhon is actually thrilled, because everything finally worked out perfectly. I even won the entire match! But his brief moment of joy is cut by a freezing voice. Why are you smiling, Your Highness? He asks the man straight up, why are you here? Veo looks totally impatient with him. What exactly were you thinking out there, Your Highness? Watch closely now. Veo is absolutely furious, demanding answers. What was that corrupt, filthy sword technique? I never taught you something as twisted as that. Gruhon completely drops his smile, his tone deepening slightly. I merely followed the blade's true nature. Veo knows he is technically right, but remains completely unsatisfied with that answer. The blade's true nature? Coming from someone who has never seen real, bloody combat. The old soldier does not hesitate to throw that harsh insult directly. So this nature of the sword you speak of is pure killing intent. Veo also lowers his voice. It is utterly brutal and makes people completely unsettled, but it is still just one truth among many others. Gruhon seemingly expected this reaction, surprisingly ignoring the old man's cold sneer like it was absolutely nothing to him. I really thought you would start lecturing me about how the sword's true path is all about perfecting the blade, or something exactly like that. This time he replies with dead seriousness. I am no knight. I am a soldier. I do not walk the shiny path of righteousness, but rather the single path that leads straight to victory. This actually surprises Gruhon, but Veo quickly continues his point. However, he calmly points out the fatal flaw. Your sword is way too extreme for your own good. When your bloodlust grows way too strong, it will completely blind both friend and foe. He turns away, his voice hiding absolutely zero frustration, and that is exactly why we made such a huge fuss to fix that annoying flaw. Am I right? Veo crosses his arms, hiding nothing. I will be watching closely to see if you get completely devoured by the raging demon inside you. After 3 whole days of non-stop sparring, the heavy sword finally hits the ground. Gruhon speaks up once again. Taylor Taetham, right? He casually rests the sword on his shoulder, acting polite. You worked really hard these past 3 days. You know exactly what he is thinking here. Enduring an unrestrained, absolutely bloodthirsty blade for 3 straight days, you truly suffered a lot, did you not? But what a pity. His next words completely freeze the guy stiff. You probably wanted to kick me so badly before this ended, but you just could not do it. Taylor profusely sweats, desperately trying to justify himself. That is not true. Gruhon totally ignores him, simply telling someone right behind him, hand it over to me. A maid respectfully hands over an item. He looks at it and asks doubtfully, "Your Highness, what is this?" He explains the situation with total seriousness. "I heard that I actually did something completely unforgivable to you before. I wonder if this makes up for it." These words genuinely surprise Taylor. "Please go ahead and deliver this directly to Baron Teotham for me, will you? It is nothing fancy at all, just a simple teddy bear and a handwritten letter." Gruhon says absolutely nothing else, bluntly dismissing his guest on the spot. "Go now, have safe travels." He even makes up his own quick excuse to justify it. "I have absolutely zero obligation to clean up the massive mess that the crazy prince caused." The other guy is completely flattered by this. "But thank you, Your Highness." Gruhon just turns and walks away. Still, when you ask someone to do a job, you have to pay them fairly, right? The crazy prince's intense sparring matches quickly become the absolute hottest gossip across the entire kingdom. His pure, unchecked arrogance has finally managed to dig his own grave. The royal guards and maids crowd around eagerly gossiping. The first prince will definitively pay dearly for his past sins. Just how deeply humiliated will he actually be when this is over? But days slowly pass, and the juicy scandal everyone completely expected never even happens. Taylor asks the people nearby in total confusion, what was the actual match result anyway? Unexpectedly, everyone is just wildly thrilled, their eyes shining bright like absolute stars. There must be a massive misunderstanding. The first prince is really not as bad as rumored. We both went all out during the intense match, and that is simply all. Threatened? No. I just finally understood His Highness's true intentions in battle. Not only him, but everyone else is left completely shocked by this. What the hell is going on? The palace must have totally silenced them. But the one actually hearing this thinks otherwise, and our main character in this wild story is absolutely furious about it. Silenced? Please! Gruhon is furious but completely helpless. He is just embarrassed. He lost. Trust me, you and I will love what happens next. Let's dive into this wild manhwa. His face scrunches up in pure disgust. Those useless nobles really need to do something helpful for once. Vio completely calls him out, sarcastically praising his big words. Gruhon just shoots a deadly glare right at the terrified kid next to him. He tightly grips the guy's shoulder and growls low. "Next time you go out, make sure you brag about my epic victory." The kid stammers in absolute terror. "Understood? Yes, Your Highness." Gruhon looks insanely smug about this, thinking those nasty rumors will definitely die down soon. But that sweet dream shatters instantly. "What?" The timid maid nervously explains the brutal truth. The rumors claim the prince actually threatened everyone in the academy just to fake his match results. He lets out a heavy sigh, his expression darkening instantly. Gruhon grits his teeth, desperately pretending he doesn't care at all. Whatever, it doesn't matter, back to training. But this time, every single sword strike carries an intense, poorly hidden wave of absolute rage. His cold eyes track the blade, radiating some seriously terrifying killer intent. Gruhon spins around, releasing a thick and incredibly heavy sword aura. Another incredibly powerful strike gets unleashed, completely effortless. After a few more epic slashes, the heavy blade in his hand finally lowers to the ground. Gruhon coldly and slowly pulls his massive aura back in. He turns around and asks, "How many sparring partners do we have left today?" Cass checks the long list and replies, "The next person arriving is the final opponent for today, Your Highness." Gruhon lets out an incredibly bored sigh. "So the Academy cadets have completely stopped challenging me now?" Cast gives him a totally serious evaluation. But at least this very last opponent is an actual, proper knight this time. Cast doesn't hold back his high praise. Someone who didn't just train their family arts, but actually joined a real knight order to perfect their skills. This gets him hyped as he eagerly snatches the list. An apprentice knight straight from the legendary Iron Lion squad. Right on cue, her silhouette approaches. Watch closely. This is Owen Kogan. The knights cannot help but whisper. Is that really her? That armor badge proves it. They all view Owen as a beautiful but completely unreachable flower on a high cliff. An absolutely stunning rose covered in thorns. The infamous woman said to have mercilessly shattered the heart of every single man around. Who knows if she heard those whispers, but her footsteps hesitate for just a second. Meanwhile, the clueless guards still haven't noticed anything. Seriously gorgeous. I can't believe a stunning woman like that would willingly walk right into this place all by herself. The Grand Prince sure has some insane charm. She tightly purses her lips, hiding her true thoughts, while the guards keep gossiping without a single care. Eventually, one of those guys can't hold back a mocking joke. Imagine how hilarious it would be if the prince loses to her in public. The Iron Lion Knights. They are famously known across the entire kingdom for their godlike talent and incredibly massive reputation. Owen Kogan, a highly respected apprentice of the order who is fully expected to become an official member very soon. Gruhon is genuinely confused here. Why would someone with that much top-tier talent actually want to spar with someone like me? Caste sweats nervously, trying to sugarcoat the messy truth. Well, there was a tiny bit of conflict between Your Highness and Sir Owen before. He painfully admits defeat. What kind of conflict? Knowing my awful past personality, I definitely started the whole thing. Gruhon spins toward the maid standing nearby. Hey, you, tell me exactly what I did back then. The poor girl blushes hard and stammers awkwardly. Your Highness. Her next words make him freeze entirely. You highly offended Sir Owen. Gruhon aggressively grabs his head like he wants to rip all his hair out. That absolute lunatic. Flashback to that day, Adrian casually walked up and threw an arm around her shoulder. And worse, he started dropping some deeply offensive remarks. You call her Owen? She really is as stunning as the rumors claim. How about it? If you want, you can become my own personal little maid. But Owen wasn't having it, immediately slapping his disgusting hand away. She firmly stated, Your Highness, a knight is never your own personal property. I know what you're thinking insane, right? But Adrian got furious and screamed for everyone to hear, You ugly freak, back to the present. That is exactly what the servants told me. Gruhon completely gives up on trying to understand his terrible past self. It sounds exactly like the cheap flirting of a raging drunk. But looking at her absolute beauty now, how could anyone with eyes ever call this woman ugly? Fair skin literally glowing under the bright sunlight, paired with deep, completely mesmerizing eyes. Owen gives a polite bow. Long time no see. Your Highness, you honestly haven't changed one bit. He awkwardly scratches his head, desperately trying to explain himself. I really don't think so. Inside, I am incredibly different now, to the point where I am basically a completely brand new person. Gruhon catches her cold, resentful glare and mentally surrenders. This is pure karma catching up to me. Right then, the maid loudly announces a new arrival. Count Banner has arrived. Vio immediately notices her standing there and asks, Are you Owen? Showing off that intimidating aura once again. Owen Kogain, apprentice of the Iron Lion Knights, sending her polite greetings to the Count. He gives her a serious warning while glancing at him. Be careful, the prince's swordplay is brutal. Gruhon gets super annoyed by the clear bias. Hey, stop pretending to be a neutral referee here. Veo completely ignores him and turns away. All right, as Veo shouts the command, Gruhon flashes an insanely confident smile. Both fighters step into position. In total contrast, she remains perfectly calm. The Count raises his hand high. From this exact moment, the match officially begins. She instantly readies her stance. He observes her, totally hyped. Trust me, you and I are going to love seeing what this Iron Lion can actually do. All right, you and I are jumping right into the action. She dashes in instantly without warning, but to him, that speed is practically nothing. Not a bad move at all. Gruhon lightly swings his sword, effortlessly deflecting her entire attack. Suddenly, a mouthful of fresh blood bursts from his lips. His mana flow is completely reversing. But Owen? She does not even flinch, keeping her fierce scowl. Gruhon desperately tries to push her blade away. In just a few chaotic minutes, these two have already traded 100 heavy blows. He quickly realizes his mistake. He is totally getting swept up in her relentless attack rhythm, and things are looking incredibly bad. She leaps into the air, her eyes radiating pure, deadly intent. Pushed to the absolute limit, Gruhon has to go all out, finally activating the Dragon Slayer heart. Owen is stunned. She never expected him to hide a trump card like this. His next strike directly blocks her furious attack. Sensing absolute danger, Owen instantly dashes backward. Moments later, she lands gracefully on her feet. She definitely notices the crazy transformation too, especially looking at that new glowing sword. He manages a strained smile. Not all blades are created equal, he says. She is clearly way stronger than your average scrub. Gruhon's eyes flash with a bizarre golden light, but a system notification suddenly pops up. The authority of judgment is only operating at a limited capacity. Instantly, all of her information pops up. Owen Kogain, female, 19 years old, apprentice knight. Sword aptitude is A, rank, and archery is B, rank. Combat skills, B, rank, mana sensing B. Traits include sword genius, super competitive, absolutely gorgeous, and tough on the outside but soft inside. She also has a pure soul. He spits out the blood. Since I can see these stats, even with limited authority, it means she is either weaker than me or perfectly matched. Instantly, his cocky smirk returns. Gruhon's footsteps blur into a phantom image before vanishing entirely. Owen refuses to underestimate him and takes a defensive stance. But she is not slacking either, pulling out her own fierce confidence. Now pay close attention, because the real clash starts here. Soon he is panting hard, totally drained of energy, and his opponent is not doing much better. The two of them fiercely battle it out from early morning straight until the sun finally sets. Right at that moment, a massive sword blocks them both. Sir Vale finally speaks up, telling them to stop and call it a day. We will continue this tomorrow, he says. Gruhon is shaking all over but still acts tough. claiming he was just about to end it anyway. Surprisingly, Owen totally agrees. What a coincidence. I was thinking the exact same thing, but his competitive ego makes him keep talking. Oh, really? You want to keep going? She never backs down from anyone either, replying, if you want to, I am totally ready. The old man loses it and screams, enough. Vale coldly orders them to go get patched up immediately since it is already pitch black outside. The royal doctor rushes over to check on him. Your Highness, please let me heal you. But Gruhon angrily turns his head away, ignoring the guy. Oh my god, it is bruised over here too. He just stares intensely at Owen getting treated. Right then, she also turns her head to look back at him. Without a word, they both awkwardly turn away in completely opposite directions. He stubbornly tells himself he absolutely will not lose. Fast forward to another sunset. The squad of knights cannot help but gossip, since nobody has won yet. They do not dare to speak up, just quietly whispering to each other. Has it really been 3 whole days? Honestly, I am pretty shocked. Another knight quickly chimes in. I have heard a lot about Owen's incredible skills, but the prince is equally amazing. The whole group can only pray to the heavens. They are hoping for a real result today. This time, Gruhon decides to make a little opening speech before the fight resumes. I have something to say. Owen does not hesitate to guess. Do not tell me you are planning to apologize. She quickly answers her own question, because I absolutely will not accept it. In her mind, she thinks, I know you want to use a victory to prove yourself, which is commendable, but he waves his hand, clarifying it is not about that. Gruhon smiles super bluntly. Since we fought this intensely, shouldn't there be a prize? You and I both know exactly where this is going. His voice is incredibly loud as he declares, the loser has to do whatever the winner demands. What do you say? Kneel or even bow down? These words make Owen completely freeze up for a second. It takes a moment for the knights to process what Gruhon just said, rushing to stop him. Your Highness is royal blood. How can you say such a thing? Please take it back. Outsiders should butt out. Why are there so many spectators anyway? He completely ignores them, still asking, what do you think, Owen? She stays dead serious, perfectly maintaining the respectful attitude a loyal subject should have. Even though I am just a lowly apprentice knight, I am still a proud member of the knight order that is fiercely loyal to the royal family. Leonberg, I would never dare commit such a disrespectful crime against your Highness. But in the very next second, Owen actually agrees. However, if that is something your Highness officially allows, then maybe I also have the right to claim the reward from this insane bet. Gruhon smiles, looking incredibly satisfied. Not a bad way to think about it, but he warns her right before attacking. Do not go back on your word later. This time around, Gruhon seems to have it much easier, but she is not going to let him relax for long. She quickly launches a fierce counterattack. Suddenly, Gruhon's eyes flash with a bizarre red light. A terrifying aura bursts out like a broken dam. Owen is left totally stunned, quickly realizing the truth. He is too fast. He was never this incredibly quick yesterday. In this harsh moment of clarity, she wonders, was he actually hiding his true power? They clash again in an absolute frenzy, that power grazing her shoulder. That is where we leave it, trust me. You need to see what is next. Let's jump right in. One glance, and he is standing right there. She is completely breathless, eyes wide with pure shock. In a flash, another sword strike comes swinging in. In just a few short seconds, Gruhon completely closes the gap. Clang! A deafening metallic clash shatters the dead silence. A sword gets violently knocked away, flying through the air, and shockingly, it belongs to Owen. The guards are absolutely stunned, left completely speechless. Even Vale cannot believe what he is seeing right now. She is totally defeated. Impossible! He slowly walks forward. I won the bet. Pointing his sword right at her, Gruhon speaks firmly. Owen Kagayan, I want you. He gives this insanely arrogant smirk. Yeah, exactly that look. His next words freeze her completely. The Grand Prince's personal guard, a title that terrifies the entire kingdom. Contrary to Cass's worries, this job is not actually all that brutal. Gruhon casually asks, are you the new royal guard? He immediately kneels down. Yes, it is my absolute honor to serve you, your Highness. Cass slowly realizes that the Grand Prince is a bit arrogant, sure, but definitely not the mindless tyrant the rumors claimed. His expression stays completely flat. All right, I will be counting on you. Spending time together, he starts figuring Gruhon out. Cass never says a word, just quietly observes. Actually, the reality is the exact opposite of those wild rumors. Even in the pouring rain, he trains relentlessly. Yet the nearby knights totally look down on him. So loud, should we go stop His Highness? He stays silent until suddenly shouting, Your Highness, watch out! A massive lightning bolt strikes the wooden dummy right before Gruhon. Startled by the blast, he also looks completely thrilled. Cass watches with wide-eyed, pure shock. He has a gut feeling that Gruhon will become a true legend. Cass truly believed that. Now pay attention here. Back to reality. I want you. The nearby guards start gossiping how shameful. Even he is wavering now. Did I judge him completely wrong? Owen bites her lip hard. Is her bravely standing up for herself what the prince truly wants? Ignoring all the whispers around him, naturally. With your current skills, you are just a mediocre apprentice knight who cannot even beat a prince. Rohan smiles, finishing his thought. So what I really need is his next words leave Owen, absolutely stun the potential and future of the knight named Owen Kagayen. He slowly explains his point. I want a knight who follows me, not one following royal orders just to protect me. Cass honestly never expected this wild turn of events. Under the glowing sunset, Rohan whispers, I want a knight who belongs only to me. And from what I see, he checks the floating window. You see that too, right? Sword talent rank A, archery rank B, combat B, mana sense. Traits include sword genius, highly competitive, soft-hearted, and possessing a perfectly pure soul. You have some seriously impressive sword talent. Rohan smiles again. Therefore, Owen Kagayan, his absolute seriousness, freezes her in place. Become my knight! Owen finally achieved her dream of becoming a knight, but unfamiliar voices echo. Is that the kid? They keep praising her. Just like the rumors said, her looks are absolutely outstanding. Nobody treats her like a real knight, so Owen works twice as hard. Clang! Metal clashes loudly. Standing tall, she points her blade, proving her raw talent. The referee shouts, Winner Owen Kagayan! Even after crushing every single candidate, one by one, win after win, Owen fights like an absolute tireless machine. Yet despite showing such incredible results, nobody takes her seriously at all. Isn't Lady Owen our visual representative? Protecting a beauty like her is any knight's ultimate honor. She could not become a true knight. Back in reality, Owen trembles. However, she slowly looks up with a radiant face. He wants her potential and future as a knight. Owen wavers slightly. Is he actually being genuine? The sunset paints the area red. Please promise me one thing, she slowly requests. Please treat me not as a woman, but as a knight, Owen declares firmly. If you can do that, I will obey your every single command. Rohan says nothing, just staring right back at her. But despite the heavy silence, her gaze remains completely unwavering. Suddenly he smiles. All right, I promise. Waiting only for those words, Owen drops to her knees. In this moment, Rohan is not her opponent, but her true liege. Her voice echoes clearly. I, Owen, eldest daughter of the Kagayan family, pledge my loyalty to Prince Adrian Leonberg. Owen boldly declares this under Cass's watch, dedicating her sword and life. Vale does not say a word, but his eyebrows are tightly furrowed. Now, Rohan points his sword out too. As the legitimate heir of Leonberg, in the name of Adrian Leonberg, I officially knight you. Brave, courteous, and loyal. Trust me, we are just getting started here. Stick with me here. A little while later, she fully adapted to the daily rhythm, training every single morning. Nearby, a crowd gathered, whispering. Swearing loyalty to that utter trash is completely absurd, right? And a knight's oath based on a silly bet? We absolutely have to cancel it, no matter what the cost. But I actually heard that she flat out rejected all of our help. The rumors started spreading from just one person. Oh my god, based on what I know, isn't there something super shady going on? Is there some kind of secret relationship with the prince? Maybe he doesn't dare claim her as a mistress because of the scandal, so he's using the knight's oath to cover it all up. It felt weird right from the start. Why would she even participate in a sketchy duel hosted by that piece of trash anyway? Over on this side, Gruhon is absolutely losing it. This is crazy. What kind of villain am I? He angrily stomps his foot. Am I really the absolute worst scum in the entire world? Carl sneaks an anxious glance at Gruhon, but finally speaks up. Your Highness. Carl hesitates, bringing up the exact words the prince said that day. He turns his head in total confusion. Wait, when? Looking completely helpless, Carl reminds him, just a few days ago, on the day of the final duel. Aren't you just a knight protecting me by royal order? Only then does Gruhon remember. Ah! He turns around and asks bluntly, did that actually bother you? I mean, it is the truth. If a royal order sent you away right now, you would totally leave, right? Gruhon shoots him a teasing side glance. If you want, you can pledge yourself later. Carl looks unexpectedly excited. If I said I wanted to take the oath now, would you accept it? He coldly pours ice water over the idea. Nope. Under Carl's shocked gaze, Gruhon continues, I honestly do not need you. Keeping you around isn't fun at all, Carl. But Carl actually bursts out laughing. Is that so? Gruhon crosses his arms, grumbling internally. I am not joking here. I am completely serious. Now watch closely, things are shifting. Later, Gruhon holds a letter. The first prince, Adrian Leonberg, is officially off house arrest, and he is ordered to attend an upcoming banquet hosted by the royal family. He wonders in total confusion, did I do something wrong? Gruhon scratches his head awkwardly. I didn't expect them to end the confinement 6 whole weeks earlier than planned. Thinking back to Lionel's absolute rage, acting like that, I figured they would lock me in the prince's palace forever and never see me again. He shakes his head, totally baffled. I seriously cannot understand what that man is thinking. Carl gets confused by his reaction. Is your highness not happy about getting your freedom back? Gruhon turns around, looking dead serious. I have absolutely zero interest in this. Even if I leave the palace, I have nowhere to go and nobody to meet because I have literally never made a single friend. Suddenly, Adelia gasps loudly in surprise. As he looks over, she visibly trembles. Please forgive me, but I just noticed a private invitation addressed directly to your highness. Gruhon asks with doubt, an invitation? Adelia quickly hands over the item. Yes, it is exactly this one. He opens it up, reading with a bit of curiosity. A special social gathering for young nobles? She knows he doesn't remember, so she explains. It's a social club you used to attend. He startles. Wait, me? I know what you're thinking, this sounds suspicious. Suddenly, Gruhon realizes something. Was that some kind of weird place? Adelia stammers a bit. Well, she recalls the crazy scene from last time. For a woman like me, the elegant hobbies of young noblemen are honestly quite hard to understand. He blushes hard and shoves the letter back in, so it's just a hangout for drinking and women. Forget it. I am busy enough with my training. Why would I waste my time on such meaningless, trashy gatherings? But then Gruhon notices something else written down. The paper clearly reads, to the brilliant, brave, and profound Prince Adrian, from your eternal and loyal friend, Bernardo, of the Eli family. He repeats that name in total doubt. Eli? Gruhon feels the name sounds oddly familiar. According to his uncle, they were a family that stubbornly pursued the mana heart to the very end, and eventually collapsed a century ago. He turns around. Maybe I should actually go check it out. Adelia bows, not daring to say much. I understand completely. I will prepare your outfit. Gruhon looks up coldly, hoping that bloodline hasn't entirely died out yet. Since taking over the first prince's body and starting his brutal weight loss journey, exactly 4 months have passed. The tailor is absolutely overjoyed. Does your highness feel completely satisfied with this brand new outfit? I followed every single one of your instructions. He won't stop bragging about his masterpiece, noting the main color is black. The tailor looks down at the minimalist design, practically floating on air as he highlights the clean, elegant lines. Even so, your majestic aura has not diminished one bit, your highness. Gruhon checks out his own reflection in the mirror. I really have lost a massive amount of weight. The tailor excitedly agrees. Your body size has shrunk by more than half. With stars in his eyes, he adds, I will personally handle tailoring your royal social outfits too. Please let me start right away. But he stops him. Hold on, wait a little longer. My measurements will definitely change again. And trust me, you're going to want to see his final form. Alright, stick with me. We are heading straight into the absolute worst noble gathering right after his house arrest ends. Carl spurs his horse, keeping watch, while Rohan just yawns inside the carriage. Honestly, playing the prince role is completely exhausting. Just thinking about the protocol irritates him. The fancy clothes, the carriage, the personal guards, it is all so suffocating. Suddenly, Rohan shoots a glance to his side. He speaks up out of nowhere, totally catching Adelia off guard. Where did that scar come from? He stares right at her neck. Adelia clenches her hands, whispering that it proves her incompetence. Your highness, it is a fitting punishment for the mistake you blamed me for. Hearing this, he clenches his fist in pure anger. This sword is mine now, country bumpkin. But hey, you look pretty cute too. Why is it that the deeper he digs into this body's past, the more twisted the stories get? Rohan notices her sheer panic. Come to think of it, he has seen this maid for months and never learned her name, so he asks coldly, who are you? She answers incredibly softly, terrified of being overheard. I am Adelia Bayan, your highness. That name alone makes Rohan flinch. Bayan, that is a basically forgotten noble family. To hear a legendary name like that in a place like this? Mind-blowing. Flashback time. Back in the distant past, long before kingdoms or even cities existed. Out of all the races, humans were the weakest, slaughtered and exploited on the daily. But a few legends ended that bloody history. Now pay attention to this part. When the war finally ended, the absolute legends who crowned humanity were honored as the 5 great electors. One of those 5 epic heroes, the fiery red-haired woman, just smiled. Rohan, have you ever thought about this? She stared down the hideous monsters. What you and I will do once this war is over? Ednis always had those sparkling, bright eyes. Then boom, she launched like an arrow. Ednis fought with unmatched pride. She is the hero who beheaded the giant Ida and shattered the era of slavery forever. One fatal strike, no stepping back. That is the Iron Blood Sword Marquis, Ednis Bayan. She let out a breath, completely losing her temper. You stupid bastards. With a cruel flash in her eyes, she threw her sword. Did you think running away would get you a meal? You absolute cowards only care about garbage. Ednis held nothing back. With bodies built like actual trash. You scumbags, she screamed, ready to rip them apart. Worthless trash. Walking garbage deserves to be treated like garbage. Just remembering that dark memory makes Rohan shiver. He grabs his head, desperate to wipe away the sheer humiliation of that history. He looks up. Seriously, how did the proud descendants of the Bayan family end up like this? Makes no sense. His thoughts are cut off by a shout. Your Highness, we are here, Carl calls out again blankly. Rohan steps out immediately. Perfect timing. But wait, let's pause here. He suddenly stops and turns, throwing Adelia totally off guard. Adelia, we will talk later. She looks super confused. Then a totally unfamiliar voice calls out, Your Highness. Bernardo drops to one knee. Are you well? Bernardo of the Eli family greets the first prince. He lays the sweet talk on thick. Seeing you safe brings me unbelievable joy. Rohan glares at the guy suspiciously. This is the Eli descendant? He looks like a total idiot. Bernardo ignores the weird look. You must have suffered endlessly to lose so much weight. Rohan just smirks vaguely. Finally, the guy notices the chilling vibe. Your Highness, is something wrong? He quickly lowers his head, hiding his face. No, it is nothing. I am just glad I showed up. Rohan pats his shoulder, completely dodging the question. Things are going to get very entertaining today. Bernardo rubs his shoulder, watching him walk away. Cut to the party completely wasted nobles shouting absolute trash. One girl is shamelessly lifting her dress. The guys are hyping it up. Wow, her skin is flawless. She acts totally shy. Stop teasing me. I might just scream. Rohan and his guard look completely out of place in this ridiculous mess. Honestly, the old Rohan would be blacked out drunk and flirting with everyone by now. Staring at the prince, Bernardo is caught off guard. His aura is completely different now. Then, a guy stands up. Zero manners whatsoever. I heard a rumor. Your Highness! He just blurts it out like a fool. They say you claimed the steel lion flower. Now, what do you and I think happens next? Just pure, deadly silence. Once one fool starts, the rest jump in. I was too slow. I wanted her for myself. If I knew, I would have taken her oath first. He just keeps digging his own grave. Alright, stick with me here. Just looking at the armor is beautiful enough. Wonder how amazing the body inside is. Suddenly, Gruhon spoke up. Hey, do you have any siblings back home? The guy was totally clueless. Huh? But he still answered, saying he had a younger brother. Gruhon swirled his wine glass. What a relief. The guy stood frozen, even with a fist right in his face. Say what? Gruhon showed absolutely zero mercy. He threw a brutal punch, making the guy spit out a massive mouthful of blood. In an instant, the only sound in that grand room was shattering glass. Everyone there was absolutely terrified. Even Bernardo stood completely stunned. He completely ignored the terrified crowd around him. I am so relieved your family bloodline will not die out. Saying that, Gruhon brutally stomped his foot right onto the guy's crotch. An earth-shattering scream echoed through the entire room, while Gruhon just gritted his teeth in pure anger. From now on, your little brother is the heir. Still not satisfied, Gruhon kept raining down blows. The guy was totally powerless, letting him vent his rage. The whole time, the watching crowd didn't dare make a single sound. Even the usually unpredictable Bernardo was too scared to move a muscle. Not done yet, Gruhon grabbed him by the collar. The guy finally got a chance to wheeze out a question. Why do you dare act like this, Your Highness? He stopped his assault and spoke slowly. Listen very closely. Gruhon's eyes were practically glowing with absolute ice-cold killing intent. I can accept you treating me like a simple follower, but I absolutely will not tolerate you treating me like I am some kind of worthless servant. Now pay attention. This is where it gets interesting. That statement left everyone around super confused, wondering what exactly he was implying. The guy didn't get it either. What do you mean? Furious, Gruhon just gifted him another brutal punch to the face. You need to eat a few more hits! Beaten before he could even react, the guy collapsed to the ground. Everyone immediately turned to look at the scene. Unsurprisingly, the idiot who dared to anger Gruhon was already knocked out completely cold. Suddenly calling for Eli, the poor guy fell to his knees in pure terror. "Yes, Your Highness." Gruhon flashed a creepy smile. "Didn't I warn you earlier? It seems today is going to be very lively." Bernardo was standing there, trembling uncontrollably. Why in the world was this madman behaving so abnormally today? Ignoring him, Gruhon just barked an order. "Go call the royal knights here immediately." Looking like he was just freed, Bernardo sprinted out. "Yes, I obey your command." For a moment, the entire room fell into absolute dead silence again. Gruhon turned his blood-spattered face and stared off into the distance. "You girls over there, leave this place right now." Jack pursed his lips, glancing around before turning his feet, fully intending to quietly escape. But Gruhon coldly called out to him, "I was only talking to the girls." He flashed another terrifying smile. "If you want to leave, be my guest, but you will be leaving as a woman." Remembering the crotch stomp, Jack just hunched over, standing totally frozen. Gruhon didn't say another word, just casually strolling over. He slowly listed their crimes. "Not a single one of you knelt properly before a prince, showing absolutely zero respect. Every single little disrespectful action was pointed out. You all publicly mocked me." The more he spoke, the sharper Gruhon's eyes became. "And you even insulted my knight." Looking thoughtful, he turned away. What crime can we charge them with in this case? Right then, the waiting knight walked in. Since they disrespected the royal family, that is the crime of treason against the crown. The entire group was absolutely horrified, everyone suddenly sweating bullets in pure panic. He added with pure disgust, "Furthermore, since they dared to challenge royal authority, this is also officially considered rebellion." The knight behind Gruhon asked, "Please give the order, Your Highness. Who should we force to kneel?" He smiled, tilting his head at the trashy crowd. Everyone held their breath, waiting for the final verdict. "You and I saw this coming, every single one." Soon after, Gruhon faced Lionel. "You just got out of house arrest and already caused massive trouble." He was angry enough to practically explode at this son. 14 noble children arrested for treason and open rebellion. You literally pinned the heaviest possible crimes on all of them. Lionel asked him one more time, "Do you even understand what you have done?" He gritted his teeth, thinking about the massive headache coming next. "Because you use the royal name, they will obviously have to receive the appropriate punishment. But with 14 major families involved, I cannot just ignore the massive wave of backlash." Gruhon just smirked, not hesitating at all. Is father worried about a little resistance? Playing the expert, Gruhon started to explain. They are just complete outcasts within their own families, useless trash that will only tarnish their family honor if they stay alive. Finally, he confidently concluded with one simple sentence, "Just write a letter." Showing absolutely zero emotion, Lionel simply asked, "Send it to whom?" Giving the guy zero face, Gruhon scoffed. Father asks while already knowing the answer. Doesn't every noble family have someone who is the absolute best at quieting down public opinion? He smiled, his expression turning ice cold. The siblings of those arrested followers. Seeing his father's silence, Gruhon just tilted his head. "Tell me, where am I wrong?" He was still let go. "Leave now." Flashing a mischievous smile, Gruhon replied, "Yes, I obey." "Trust me, you will want to watch this next part. See, nothing to justify, right?" Later, he started coaxing someone again. "Come on, do not be tense, I will not hurt you." Trembling uncontrollably, Adelia cried out, "Your Highness, what mistake has this lowly maid actually made?" Leaving Gruhon completely speechless on the spot. "Stick with me here, this retainer must have abused her horribly." Thinking back to that carriage ride, her family had barely managed to scrape by as actual nobles. Even the direct descendants know absolutely nothing about the Bayan name. Their glorious history has been completely wiped out. The peerless skills are lost forever. That fierce reputation and towering pride they once had, completely vanished without a single trace left behind. But then the system window pops up. Adelia Bayan, female, 17 years old, maid, S-rank sword talent and mana sensitivity. Look at her traits! Blood-crazed butcher, weak heart, caretaker, and finally slave. Wait a second, something just spooked him. Hold on, looking closely at those glowing text lines, Gruhon feels completely helpless right now. Traits like blood-crazed butcher, weak heart, caretaker, and slave. Why in the world does she have such an incredibly weird set of traits? Butcher means going crazy at the sight of blood. Blood-crazed means a battle-hungry maniac. But at the same time, weak heart means totally emotional. Caretaker makes her great at looking after others. And slave? A completely submissive and passive personality. He frustratingly rubs his head. She possesses absolute peak tier abilities, but completely lacks any traits to hold back that insane madness. Looks like Rohan has another massive headache coming his way. Is it really safe to let this literal monster roam free? He just stands there clutching his head in panic, but then Rohan finally makes up his mind. I have to test this out. Recalling those specific traits, it is an S-rank talent after all. S-rank sword potential and top-tier mana sensitivity. Blood-crazed butcher, weak heart, caretaker, and slave. Luckily for him, there is still one specific trait that he can definitely take advantage of right now. Now pay attention here. The slave trait feels pure happiness when serving a master, so he looks her dead in the eye and commands, Adelia Bayan, swear your loyalty to me. She looks completely stunned, unable to process it. What do you mean? Rohan doesn't mind repeating himself at all. I am telling you to become my personal knight. Swear your oath right here, right now. But Adelia instantly drops to her knees. Your Highness, that is not something a lowly servant dares to wish for. He immediately pokes right at her biggest weak point. You said your family has fallen into ruin, right? I will take full responsibility for your entire family. Rohan uses his absolute authority to make the offer. In exchange, you must swear utter loyalty to me and serve me as your one true master. He already figured it all out in his head. If you cannot control that insane madness yourself, I will hold the reins for you. Adelia quietly asks for confirmation. Will you truly take responsibility for my family? Rohan nods without a single ounce of hesitation. Absolutely, I will. He even throws in some extra benefits. If you want, I will summon them to the capital so you can see them whenever you desire. Overflowing with joy, her hesitation completely vanishes. I will follow your every command. Adelia bows deeply with total reverence. I, Adelia, eldest daughter of the Bayan family, swear my absolute loyalty to the first prince, Adrian Leonberg. She takes her solemn oath right in front of Rohan. I will serve you as my master and dedicate my entire life to you. He reaches out his hand in praise. Excellent. The rest is Rohan dropping his final orders. From this moment on, you will obey my orders unconditionally. With absolutely zero reason to refuse, she immediately replies, Yes, my lord. In that exact second, he sees a terrifying level of excitement flashing in Adelia's eyes. For the first time, Rohan actually doubts his own choice. Was this really the right move after all? Rumor has it that the reclusive first prince has recently started acting like a total street thug. Not only using dirty tricks to force knights into loyalty oaths, but he also gathered young nobles, beat them up, and threw them straight into prison. I know what you're thinking. Now he's making a maid who's never held a sword, his personal knight. Obviously, he's just building a massive harem under the disguise of private knights. Meanwhile, Rohan rests his chin, nursing a massive headache. Why is everyone paying so much attention to me suddenly? He is totally helpless here. I only took in one personal knight, yet since this morning, literally everyone has an opinion about it. Even Lionel caught wind of it. I am getting a headache cleaning up your massive mess, and yet you are sitting here indulging in women? And Valo too. How incredibly disappointing. Have you already given up on that little bet of ours? Of course, Jillian could not skip this perfect chance. Knighting a lowly maid? Now that is exactly my brother's signature style of madness. Rohan seriously needs to think about all this wild gossip. How in the world did these rumors spread so unbelievably fast? Right at that exact moment, a maid rushes in. Your Highness, the Queen is arriving. He wants to explode on the spot. Seriously. He just clutches his head listening to Margarita. I thought you had actually changed, but it seems you're going right back to your old lifestyle. Then suddenly she adds, actually, maybe this is for the best. Margarita's very next words are a little hard to understand. Once you find a wife and finally settle down, I am absolutely sure you will stop all this childish nonsense. Looking extremely determined to do something about it, she declares, Trust me, this time I will definitely find you a worthy wife. Margarita immediately turns and walks away, completely ignoring Rohan's utterly dumbfounded expression. I am just completely speechless. A little later, Adelia softly asks, So, will I finally have mana now too? He instantly returns to his usual cool self. That is right, a very special kind of mana. As he speaks, a brilliant blue flame suddenly erupts right in Rohan's hand. Trust me, you're gonna want to see this. Even if the world completely forgot the Sword Empress, I haven't forgotten a single trace she left behind. Alright, stick with me here. A blade dances matching her epic heartbeat. Then, that familiar yellow system window pops right up. Adelia Bayan finally feels the mana. More alerts quickly flash on screen. You have successfully imprinted mana onto Adelia Bayan. The mana successfully shapes inside her body. She snaps her eyes open. A real mana. Heart is born. Adelia just stares at the glowing thing in her hands. Is this really mana? He steps up and explains everything. That right there is the core method for training a mana heart. From now on, practice this alone whenever you can. Suddenly, Gruhon collapses, completely startling her. Your Highness! Adelia panics, asking if he is okay. He struggles a bit, thinking I can't believe creating one mana heart completely drained me. Gruhon looks away, desperately trying to save face. I am just a little tired. She looks super worried. Why push yourself this hard for me? For a lowly servant like me? But he refuses to explain further. It is fine, just step back. Gruhon gets annoyed by her intense staring. Why are you looking at me like that? Adelia bows deeply. I swear lifelong loyalty to you. He just smiles, brushing it off completely. Just do not forget that I am your absolute master. She happily claps her hands together. Yes, of course. Gruhon turns away with a tiny smirk. I am just afraid you might forget. He genuinely feels a terrifying pair of eyes glaring right at his back. A few days pass. Cass questions His Highness about Bernardo Eli. He breaks down the entire case process. Now pay close attention to this part. Word is royal guards locked him up as a riot witness. 0 visitors allowed until the trial officially starts. Gruhon looks confused. A trial? He nervously double-checks. Do not tell me I have to go to court too. Luckily, the answer is perfect. The royal family skips court. Gruhon raises his hand in pure satisfaction. That is some great news. He glances at Adelia. A whole trial? They are definitely overdoing it. Suddenly, Gruhon questions her. How is your current condition? Caught totally off guard, she quickly turns around. Pardon, what do you mean? He rests his chin and clarifies, has your mana heart stabilized yet? Adelia quickly replies, yes, your highness. Gruhon stands up, praising her progress. Starting today, you are training with me. He points a finger outside. Let's go. Change your clothes and meet me at the training grounds. Gruhon spots the cleaning rag in her hands and tosses it away. You are a knight now. Soon enough, he is warming up outside. Right then, a very familiar voice rings out. What exactly do you think you are doing? He ignores the attitude. Can you not see I am warming up? Vale frowns. Not you. He gestures over to the other side. I mean that girl. Gruhon just shrugs dramatically. Obviously. Haven't you heard the rumors? I am officially training her to be a knight. Hearing this, Vale instantly loses his temper. Is the knight title a total joke to you? He points directly, furious. Given the current situation, how can you act this recklessly? Now Gruhon is irritated too. Why are you so nosy? He mutters in total disgust. If you hate it so much, why keep visiting? Right on cue, Adelia calls out for His Highness. She drops to her knees, panting hard, 10 laps done. Seeing her arrive, Vale silently turns away. Adelia holds her chest, totally embarrassed. Your Highness, I apologize. He just hands her a wooden sword. Forget that. Take this weapon. Gruhon smiles brightly under the sun. Today I will teach the basic stance. He demonstrates with smooth, fluid movements. First get into position, then swing the sword exactly like this. Before she can even process it, Gruhon says your turn. She nervously lifts her blade. Like this? But instantly, that innocent vibe vanishes, swallowed by razor-sharp eyes. Adelia spins, executing several incredibly flawless sword strikes. Vale absolutely freezes. Gruhon is totally stunned too. You saw that right? Did she really copy his move perfectly after just one single look? Instantly, her normal self returns. Was my stance correct? Mentally, Gruhon is absolutely screaming in pure panic. Wait a second. He suddenly realizes a truly terrifying truth. If he is not careful, she will completely surpass him in no time. The slave mindset trait means submitting to the strong, not respecting the weak at all. He was already stressing about how the original prince heavily abused her. Gruhon panics about the near future. What if she actually becomes way stronger than me? He slowly turns his head. Vale looks super impressed. I never expected her to possess such terrifying talent. Gruhon violently nudges the guy's shoulder. What exactly are you plotting? He warns defensively. Do not even think about provoking her. Vale completely ignores this serious warning. What could you possibly teach that kid? He keeps rambling on. You are literally just a rookie who barely picked up a sword recently. Vale delivers a bitter conclusion. You lack the power to control her. Gruhon tightly purses his lips. He struggles to suppress the raging beast inside his heart, but he only suppresses it, he never runs. That old trash prince would have totally chickened out by now. Gruhon remembers those memories perfectly well, but I am not him. If even I cannot manage to keep her insane power under my control. That heart, dyed completely blue by the flames, starts pounding heavily again. He slowly finishes his thought, then nobody can. Because I drank the invincible tyrant's blood. Mad dragon blood and supreme beings. The sword flashes bright. Another golden window appears. Trust me, we must see what happens next. You and I are jumping right back into the madness. Rohan's phantom spirit manifests, his eyes snapping open with a blood-red glow. Pure, uncontrollable bloodlust fills the air. Even Vale has to put his guard up now. Rohan slowly opens his mouth, laying down an absolute claim. He points straight at her, the girl burning with pure willpower and killing intent. She is mine. He issues a final, chilling warning. Do not even look at her, and definitely do not dare to desire her. Zero hesitation in his voice. He makes it crystal clear he absolutely hates it when anyone touches what belongs to him. Dead silence falls over them. Nobody dares to speak. In this exact moment, Rohan's eyes literally transform into dragon eyes. But beneath the surface, where nobody can see, he is completely losing control. His grip on reality is fading fast, slipping into a void with absolutely zero signs of life or energy. Nothing but freezing cold and total darkness swallowing him whole. Is this some kind of bad omen? If this keeps up, his weak human body will be completely torn apart by the phantom. Suddenly, his eyes snap wide open. He screams out one single command, enough! He reaches his hand out, and a blinding blue light instantly swallows the massive monster's arm. Snapping back to reality, the terrifying aura around him fades away. Vale steps forward, his tone totally unamused. He states that an average knight can protect the lives of 10 ordinary soldiers. Lifting his chin with absolute pride, he adds that a truly talented knight can save hundreds. Then he points the tip of his sword straight at Adelia. That kid over there? She could save thousands, maybe even more. Rohan rubs his chin, completely unimpressed. Is that supposed to be faith? Just the grand righteous duty of the northern border commander? He turns his head away, completely shattering the emotional moment. Yeah, I do not care. Vale stubbornly tries to keep explaining, insisting on how many lives she could save. But shockingly, the one who interrupts him is her. Count Bernhardt. Adelia suddenly steps up with total confidence. My body and my heart already belong to His Highness. I absolutely cannot follow your orders, Count. Those words literally leave the old man speechless. Rohan smiles, looking incredibly satisfied. Well, dragging my soul all the way out here was definitely worth it. A slave is forced to obey someone with higher status. That is exactly what she said. He flashes a look of pure disrespect. And uncle, do you not have absolutely nothing left to teach me anyway? The original goal was literally just to help me lose weight. Rohan slowly finishes his sentence. If you want to keep coming to my palace, then stop interfering in my business from now on. Vale avoids his gaze, dodging the tension. Understood. Even after that day, he still shows up at the palace every single day to spy on Adelia, though he cannot do anything since he is totally blocked. Now here is where it gets really interesting, so pay attention. He smirks, finding his arrogant uncle's frustration pretty amusing. Right at that moment, Adelia's wooden sword flashes into view. Brilliant golden light completely wraps around her body. The Count flinches, staring right at it. What is that? Even Rohan is caught completely off guard by this level up. Did she seriously master mana resonance already? He awkwardly claps his hands in praise. Good job, very well done. At this crazy speed, I might actually get left behind. Adelia absolutely loves the compliment, her entire face turning bright red. Vale aggressively steps forward, demanding answers. Did you actually teach her the mana heart technique? Rohan replies with total arrogance, making the old man grit his teeth. Yeah. Is there a problem? He completely loses it, screaming in anger. Is it not enough that you alone learned that cheap, useless trick? Hearing that instantly makes Rohan's gaze turn ice cold. But Rohan holds back his temper and just kicks him out. Get out! Vale just will not shut up. There was a much better path, potential you could not even imagine, and you completely ruined it. Rohan does not care at all, shouting a direct order. Guards, show him the door. The guard hesitates, calling out to His Highness. The Count glares, having zero desire to stay here anymore. No need, I will walk out on my own 2 feet. The clash ends on super bitter terms. Adelia stammers out a question. Your Highness, is it really just a cheap trick? Hearing that, Rohan reacts instantly with pure intensity. No, absolutely not. She looks super confused. Then why on earth did the Count say that? You and I know the truth here. He slowly explains it. Because his uncle does not know, people today have completely forgotten what the real mana heart actually is. Rohan shows absolute pure disgust. If they remembered, they would not have tossed it away like old garbage. He turns away but drops a confident promise. You will find out soon enough, the true power of the mana heart. The wooden training sword is stabbed deep into the dirt. Rohan stares at it in complete silence. He glances sideways at the man. You act like you were never going to show your face again. Vale stubbornly stands his ground, demanding one thing, prove it. He lays out the rules. I will only use 1 mana ring. If you can push me back even half a step, I will acknowledge your strength. Rohan looks super excited and pulls out his sword. So what exactly is the bet? He is not nervous at all, acting totally confident about getting a free wish. Vale's face darkens as he accepts it all. If you win, I will give you anything. Even if you demand my family's secret techniques, I will do it. Rohan gets into a fighting stance, a smirk still on his lips. That is not what I want. Fine then. Now he charges forward, swinging his blade straight at his uncle. Let's fight. The old man does not look angry at all, aiming straight for my neck right from the start. Vale calmly drops a critique. Your sword path is as vicious as ever. Rohan ignores it, swinging with all his might, but nothing works. He bites his lip in total frustration. Rohan instantly boosts his speed, but his uncle slowly raises one hand. Trust me, you need to see what happens next. Stick with me here. With just a single strike, Vile pins him down. He smirks. Is that all you got? Rohan knows he is in trouble, frowning hard. He quickly spots an opening to jump back. Vile looks completely bored, pure disrespect on his face. Giving up already? He forces a tight smile, staying stubborn. Not a chance. Man, this guy is seriously annoying. But facts are facts, and he has to admit it. Deep down, he knows this old man is an absolute beast. This guy is just waiting for him to drain his mana, setting him up for a crushing defeat. With his current mana heart level, he is absolutely going to lose exactly as planned. Suddenly, Gruhon drops a completely random question. Hey, do you not think it is weird? Hearing that, Vile instantly goes on high alert. 400 years ago, countless knights out there using the mana heart pulled off absolutely unbelievable, legendary feats. Yet just because a slightly more useful technique showed up, all the brilliant skills of those great knights are now treated like absolute garbage. Everyone seems to think the mana chain is a vastly superior control method compared to the mana heart. Vile cuts him off, annoyed. What exactly is your point here? He just keeps rambling on. My thoughts are totally different. Gruhon raises his sword, locking eyes with him. It is not the mana heart that is weak. It is the user. Not all mana hearts are created equal. His gaze turns sharp. Old man, have you ever heard of the Battle Soul song? Vile smirks, dismissing it. This is a sparring ground, not a place for stupid fairy tales. Gruhon is not surprised at all. I figured you would say that. He lowers his stance, finally saying what he always wanted to say. Because you also called the mana heart a crude trick, something only trash mercenaries would bother learning. Vile gets irritated, completely done listening. You are talking way too much. Do you need to catch your breath? Now watch closely. Things are about to change. Gruhon focuses, his aura completely shifting. No need. The path a true knight walks turns into their ultimate legacy. 100 battle victories, that is my pride, and that is my true power. He clearly notices the sudden shift in energy. What is this? The familiar system prompt pops up. I sing the song of 100 victories before 20 trainees who dream of becoming true knights. The achievement etches into his very heart, and that carved legacy becomes the Battle Soul song. The Battle Soul song is forged, now reigning supreme inside the knight's blade. Normal tier Battle Soul song, the combat melody has officially been generated. A small, seemingly ordinary feat he spent the last 6 months grinding for. The combat song's effect is now fully active. This right here is the true, hidden power of the mana heart, the Battle Soul song. The text on the notification window shifts the combat song is now taking effect. But Vile just brushes it off. No matter how hard you try, it is totally useless. He looks down on this training method entirely. As long as that mana heart is inside you, my mana chain will never be broken. Gruhon completely ignores the trash talk, just getting ready to launch his attack. Even this time, Vile blocks the strike with absolute ease. It is true, energy from the mana chains can counterattack straight through the mana heart. He grits his teeth but keeps fighting hard, while the old man just smiles gleefully. Vile decides to go on the offensive first. You actually have some pretty impressive endurance there. Gruhon suddenly smirks. You and I know what is coming. But to get this song, I fought over 100 battles and tanked mana chain strikes over 1,000 times. A power sharpened for the sole purpose of fighting mana chain knights. Through 100 clashes, I have withstood absolutely thousands of brutal incoming attacks. His blonde hair whips wildly in the massive surge of mana. This is the absolute pure pressure of the combat song. The blade is slowly being swallowed by raw energy. Gruhon states it with total confidence. Now, it is finally time to test this out. The moment that thought ends, his figure completely vanishes. This time around, the old man actually struggles to block, because in a flash, tens of thousands of sword strikes come raining down without stopping. The more Gruhon fights, the more hyped he gets, feeling totally one with his sword. He raises an eyebrow, annoyed, never expecting the kid to last this long. But he quickly flips the script, bringing down a massively powerful sword strike. He is forced to take a few steps back. Gruhon still cannot match him perfectly, but that suffocating pressure has definitely eased up a bit. Vile asks in a dead serious tone, "How does that feel?" Still stubborn, he snaps back. "I warned you, not all mana hearts are created equal. Even he has to admire that fiery attitude. You are seriously arrogant. Vile steps to the side, gathering momentum. This time it is a blast of sword aura. The second it fires, Gruhon gets launched flying, slamming hard into the wall. He is finally losing his patience. I am not going to hold back anymore. Just surviving this long is honestly praiseworthy. Vile keeps a totally straight face. I will give you credit for that. The kid grits his teeth hard. As expected, a normal tier battle soul song is just not enough. Gruhon leans on his sword, looking up coldly, and starts speaking. 4 centuries ago, the knights made a massive mistake. They completely failed to leave any worthy opponents behind for the future generations. In the beginning, everything must have been fully passed down. The core techniques, the swordplay, proper mana heart training, and legendary battle soul songs. Time completely wore down those glorious achievements, burying them in oblivion. But trust me, you and I need to see what happens next. Let's dive into a world where legends of unseen dragons and unheard-of giant kings have just become completely forgotten myths. Sure, people still write new battle soul songs today, but honestly, they max out at beating maybe 10 knights. At their absolute peak, they might take down 100 soldiers. Those songs are just based on simple human brawls, nothing close to mythical or heroic levels. They absolutely cannot handle this new era. Gruhon slowly drops the brutal truth. With such painfully mediocre mana chain techniques, you guys will never ever reach true transcendence. Vale just scoffs in disgust. Are you actually day drinking right now? I have zero clue what you are blabbering about. Vale Bannerhath. What an arrogant, clueless knight. He steps forward. You all need to realize just how much epic greatness you have lost. Blood-red eyes suddenly pierce through the eternal darkness. That bizarre red energy completely swallows Gruhon whole. If you do not understand, an invisible hand reaches out. I will teach you myself. It looks like some massive, unstoppable force is wrapping around him. Something no blade could ever cut, easily ripping right through solid dragon scales. His face is completely deadpan as he literally drinks its boiling blood. Then, the system notification pops up. I sing the ultimate anthem, True Dragon Destroying the World. But the system warns him. His current stats simply cannot handle this legendary tier. A massive chunk of the song gets restricted. He can only chant a single line, just a tiny fraction, enough for 100 dragon scales. Gruhon launches forward like an absolute rocket. This incoming strike packs 5 times more destructive power. Watching this insane aura literally devour his weapon, Vale starts sweating hard. What is this? He completely panics and tries to back away. At this rate, I am going to be completely swallowed. A blinding blue light flashes, followed by a massive explosion. He gets violently blasted right out of the arena. Someone screams out in panic. Your Highness! The heavy smoke finally clears, leaving a sturdy silhouette standing there. Gruhon struggles up, wiping blood from his mouth. He glares up, completely annoyed. Did you not promise to only use a single ring? Pay close attention here. This is where it gets crazy. Vale is sweating bullets. Even after burning 4 rings, he realizes he could not protect his sword. Meanwhile, Gruhon slowly sits up. Vale is absolutely stunned. Heart mana is actually weaker than ring mana. That was supposed to be an undeniable rule of the world. So why did this happen? He looks up and shouts, Count Vale Bannerhath. Gruhon completely ignores his shocked expression. You have officially lost. Cut to a dream. Adrian sees Gruhon violently slashing a white dragon. Stop it right now. Adrian screams at the top of his lungs. Please stop this cursed battle song immediately. He violently jolts awake. Adrian suddenly realizes his heart is absolutely pounding in pure agony. He shoots up from the bed, gasping for air. His trembling hand tightly grips the bedsheets. Adrian heavily grits his teeth. This is the painful backlash of forcing that ultimate battle soul song. He flashes back to fighting that white dragon, desperately trying to shatter those solid scales using the legendary tier True Dragon Destroying the World anthem. My body is completely wrecked from using it, but it was absolutely worth the heavy price. The very first battle song I created myself, 100 undefeated matches. It is my ultimate pride and my core source of power. After surviving hundreds of insane duels and tanking thousands of deadly attacks, I will definitely stand firm against even worse trials than this. You and I both know what is coming. The battle song got upgraded, and it is more than enough to crush that bastard third prince. A soft female voice breaks the silence. Your Highness, you are finally awake. Adelia quickly adds, everything turned into total chaos after you passed out. I have literally never seen the Empress explode with so much pure rage. Adrian just coldly chuckles. Serves them right. Totally serves them. She continues. Count Bannerhath left a message demanding an immediate report when you wake up. Adrian instantly replies, "Do not report anything just yet. I need some more time to rest. If my body does not fully heal from abusing the battle song, I will face some truly horrific consequences. Reality and the dark past will blur into a chaotic mess." Eventually, the line holding reality together would vanish, turning me totally insane. I would be trapped forever, endlessly reliving bloody battle memories inside a completely fractured world. Being locked inside a sword's memories again, right after fighting so hard to become human? Yeah, just the thought of that completely sends chills down my spine. A moment later, Adrian speaks up. Agnes Bayan, she is a truly brilliant swordswoman. Since she carries the Bayan bloodline, she is definitely capable of inheriting the battle soul song her ancestors left behind. Adelia looks totally surprised. I honestly had no idea my ancestor was such an incredibly famous swordsman. Adrian calmly replies, "Of course, you still need to grow a lot stronger to reach a level worthy of wielding that epic song. So, what exactly is your plan for learning swordsmanship?" Adelia immediately freezes up the second she hears his question. If I become a knight, Adrian catches her awkward hesitation. Trust me, we are going to want to see what happens next. Stick with me, we are jumping right back into the action. But suddenly, Adrian is totally caught off guard by Adelia's expression. She places both hands over her heart, cheeks slightly flushed. "My prince, I swear to become your absolute blade." Adrian instantly notices something heavy in her words. Some epic hero songs begin with the massive blast of war horns. Others start with a single step across a battlefield. And some legendary tales kick off with an unbreakable vow of absolute loyalty. "I will live for you my whole life." A brilliant golden light erupts the second Adelia makes her vow. "I will offer you absolutely everything." The system suddenly flashes. Adelia Bayan presents the Song of Submission. Adrian stares at the golden light spinning around them. Is this Adelia's battle aura song? Sometimes these power songs can literally buff other people. The system pops up again. A brand new battle aura song has formed. A normal tier song of domination is officially created. This Song of Submission is pure respect for a master. It is less like a battle buff and more like a soul-binding loyalty vow. Even with her total servant mindset trait in play, Adelia looks up nervously. "My prince," Adrian thinks to himself. A descendant of the Sword Empress creating a submission song? I just scored a massively unexpected support buff right here. As long as I am the target of this submission song, every time Adelia levels up, I gain benefits too. Thank you. Adelia completely freezes at his gentle words. "My prince!" Adrian feels pretty good about it, even if things are vague, even though he still has no idea what those actual benefits are. Fast forward a few days, Adrian looks super annoyed meeting Queen Margarita. She instantly spots her son's foul mood. "Adrian, are you feeling any better now?" He shoots back quickly. "I am perfectly fine." Watch closely here. Fighting enemies is easy, but dealing with someone who genuinely loves the original owner of this body, way more complicated. Margarita asks with worry, "Do you resent your uncle? He never meant to hurt you, so if you feel any anger, please just let it go." Adrian quickly defends himself. "I really do not have any bad feelings," she suddenly shouts. "Why would you not? He is always rough and constantly nagging you. Saying you have zero negative feelings is obviously a total lie." Adrian awkwardly scratches his cheek. "I seriously do not care. That day I already hit him with a pretty devastating mental strike, because his entire pride and every truth he believed in was completely crushed by me. He is probably struggling right now to accept the brutal reality I planted in his mind. Inner demons. If he has the guts, he will overcome this massive trial, but if he fails, his absolute most precious thing will shatter completely. Honestly speaking, I do not care at all what happens to him next." Margarita smiles softly. "Your uncle has spent his entire life closer to swords than humans, so his manners are naturally super rough and dry, but lately he seems incredibly proud of you. He even personally made a request to His Majesty. Thanks to that, your house arrest was actually lifted much earlier than planned, but trouble hit right when you got free. Your uncle's position must be in a really tough spot now." Adrian secretly feels a little guilty. "You and I both felt that, right? Why would this grumpy old guy stick his neck out for our main character like that?" The old scholar Niccolo Machiavelli arrives. "My prince," Adrian cuts him off. "I absolutely refuse to accept this." Cass and Adelia look over anxiously. Adrian literally throws a tantrum on the floor like a kid. "Why do I have to study?" Niccolo replies. "If you do not gather knowledge." "How are humans any different from wild beasts?" Adrian roars. "Are you seriously comparing me to a wild animal?" Niccolo answers calmly. "Since your highness just started studying, I cannot classify you as a wild beast quite yet," Adrian screams back. "I have not even learned anything. Stop playing word games with me." A moment later, he flops down. "Look at me. Does this not clearly show that I already know absolutely everything? I am officially declaring that I do not need to learn anything else. Got it?" Nicolo just smiles. If you are that determined, then let us try it this way. Debate a few complex topics with me right now. If your skills are truly as great as you claim, I will never bother you again, my prince. Adrian looks incredibly pleased. That actually sounds pretty fair. A little while later, Adrian proudly slaps the table. Exactly. That is why people always have to watch their backs. Human nature will always take over. If they see the other side being too easygoing, Nicolo smiles. You are absolutely right. This specific book will definitely grab your interest. It completely breaks down the ruler and subject dynamic as a literal contract. The king gets military and financial backing in exchange for protecting his people, while the subjects seek out shelter and political stability in exchange for their absolute loyalty. Adrian nods along. You make a solid point. Every relationship is fundamentally a mutual exchange. For this part exactly, yes, and this whole section too. A while later, Nicolo calmly gathers up the books. Well then, my prince, we will continue the rest of this tomorrow. Adrian answers happily. Yeah, all right, I will be waiting. He is still cheerfully waving goodbye to Nicolo. Wait a second, I just attended a totally normal class. What? This old man is seriously crafty. Outside his room, Nicolo is forming his own evaluation too. So what do you and I make of this? The prince is definitely sharp. Cut to later, the sun is high, and Adrian sprawls on his bed sighing in boredom. Let's dive right back in. Lately, our guy has been bored out of his mind, stuck just healing and chilling, with absolutely zero action or training to do. Suddenly, Adelia announces that Lord Velbaylor is here to visit. Adrian instantly jumps right up. First guest in a while, Adelia nervously asks what they should do. He quickly replies, "Let the man come inside." It's been a few days since their intense duel. He's visiting now, but the old guy clearly hasn't gotten over the trauma of what happened. Veo quietly hesitates the moment he sees him walk out, then finally speaks up. I am truly sorry. I completely broke my promise and left you heavily injured. I have zero excuses for what I did to you. Adrian thinks to himself, I'm not healing because of his sword aura. It's actually because I totally overused the True Dragon Extinction battle song. Suddenly, he remembers the Queen's warning. The Count's situation must be super tough since I caused so much trouble. Veo abruptly breaks the silence. Tell me right now, what do you want? If you want my arm or even my eye, I will give them up. Adrian snaps back, annoyed. Why the heck would I need those useless things? A former sword saint haunted by his inner demons like this. Fine, I'll be generous and just make a simple wish first. Now pay attention, here is where it gets interesting. He asks to go traveling. Veo is completely stunned. Your house arrest is over? You can actually leave the palace? Adrian replies, not just a simple day trip, but a long journey. I want to leave the capital. Veo looks at him with totally suspicious eyes. That takes time to schedule. With the upcoming royal banquet, going far away is absolutely impossible. Adrian simply replies, that works too. Veo quickly turns around to leave. Fine, I will let you know when everything is totally ready. Adrian suddenly notices Cass staring right at him. He's just watching him intensely. What? Why are you staring at me like that? Cass awkwardly replies, just a bit surprised. I really thought your highness would demand something way more outrageous. Since the Count broke his promise, it was a rare chance to milk him dry. Adrian slowly replies, seeing the old man act so pathetic just made me feel bad. Suddenly, Cass bursts out laughing super loud. Adrian totally startles and snaps. What the heck are you laughing at? Cass, you're way too relaxed lately. Adelia's soft voice chimes in, Your Highness, the letter you've been waiting for is here. She hands over a letter with a bright red seal. Inside, Owen writes, I've recently achieved a minor breakthrough, so I might come visit you very soon. I hope you stay perfectly well until then. Sent from Owen Kregayan. Adrian smiles with pure satisfaction. Perfect timing! About 5 days later, Veo sends the good news. Just 2 days after that, they finally hit the road. Adrian asks, practically buzzing with excitement, old man. What's the name of this next place we're passing through? Is it Ellen or Ellen? Veo grumbles back, totally annoyed. Why can't you just sit still for a second? I'll explain everything, so get inside the carriage first. Elena County, the territory of Count Elena. This place holds the absolute biggest royal weapon manufacturing forge in the entire region. They have high-quality iron mines for premium ore, plus an incredibly talented blacksmith guild to forge them. It is no joke to say over half the royal weapons come straight from Ellen. Adrian excitedly agrees, awesome, I have leveled up a lot lately. It's definitely time to get my very own sword. Originally, I just planned to grab a random blade from the royal armory to use temporarily. But Cass looked super awkward and replied, I'm sorry, Your Highness. Because of strict royal orders, we absolutely cannot provide a weapon for you to use. Your Highness, the Emperor angrily warned us to remember that anyone who lets that fake touch a sword ever again will be severely punished. You and I both know the original owner's awful track record, so it makes sense. But still, to get a real weapon, he has to hunt outside the royal palace. He briefly glances out the window, spotting Veo riding his horse out there. The old guy is surprisingly cautious, despite his rugged exterior. Veo grumbles loudly, "It's way too noisy. Shut the window." Adrian instantly snaps right back, "No freaking way." And just like that, the epic 20-day journey officially begins. Their route goes straight through Count Ellen's territory, sitting about 3 days out from the capital. After that, they will hit Iron Lion City 2 days further away, grab some well-deserved rest, and finally loop back to the capital. But right now, I, Rohan, am stuck sitting motionless in this bumpy carriage for 3 straight days. The person sitting across isn't interesting at all. Adelia only ever answers with a flat yes or no. Rohan sighs, completely bored, might as well take this time to check my mana heart. That intense battle song left his core completely empty, so it's finally time to recharge that energy. The wooden carriage loudly rocks back and forth. A cold wind blows past, while knights casually chat outside. He slowly gathers every single hidden mana particle floating in the air. He steadily fills his drained heart. Wait, why is my mana heart suddenly so incredibly huge? He had recklessly tested an absolute miracle out there. He shattered his limits and caught a glimpse of a massive will. It's definitely because he forced himself to use that epic battle song. The system chimes and the song's influence altered his entire physique, expanding the mana heart. Thanks to that massive upgrade, your body can handle way more mana now. Hitting the sword expert stage connected his physical body to a much deeper source than before. So what do you and I take from this? Power limits unlocked. Both the third eye and third ear powers just got heavily upgraded. Things are about to get wild. Adelia stares in pure shock. Meanwhile, Prince Gruhon excitedly clenches his fists, admiring his own body like a kid. He just leveled up another massive step. Scene cuts to the Ellen County territory. A voice rings out. "It is an absolute honor to host you, Your Highness. I am Iga of the Ellen family. And I, Torrens, eldest son of the Ellen family, greet His Highness, Prince Adrian Leonberg I. Ruohan simply replies, "Thanks for having me." Ega smiles, guessing the long trip exhausted him, and politely invites him to rest up. "Alright, stick with me here." Inside, Ruohan looks around. Word is, this is the weapon capital. Sure enough, every hall is packed with blades, but honestly, they are just flashy, useless junk, totally unfit for a real battlefield. He keeps inspecting the various weapons hanging all over the hallway. Seems what I want is not easily found here. I heard there is an actual blacksmith guild in the territory. Ega nods, "Yes, Your Highness." Ruohan immediately decides he wants to go check it out. Suddenly, Ega slows his pace. He warns that blacksmiths are incredibly rude and stubborn. When they work, they ignore even the local lord. Their words are as sharp as an axe, totally cold and completely unfiltered. He begs the prince to forgive any disrespect, but Ruohan just widens his eyes at the insane sight right in front of him. Sparks flying from the forging process turn the entire room a glowing, intense red. Ega speaks up, saying the furnace heat is brutal, so the prince should just say the word if it gets too much. Ruohan stays silent. The whole place echoes with heavy hammers striking iron. Ega looks surprised seeing the prince so completely absorbed. Prince Ruohan is fully lost in his own world. The fire roars, the bellows hiss, and the blacksmiths are pouring their absolute souls into the heavy work. Amidst all the chaotic noise, one distinctly clear ringing sound stands out entirely. Ruohan freezes at the sight of a master swordsmith. Now watch closely, he realizes this is the very first memory he can actually recall. Suddenly, Adelia gently wipes the sweat off his cheek with a towel, telling him he is sweating way too much. That snaps Ruohan back to reality, remembering exactly where he is. He slowly turns his head back toward that captivating sound. Watching the master swordsmith forge a blade stirs up some really complicated feelings deep inside his chest. A man wearing a green hat bows deeply, saying this humble servant pays his respects to His Highness the Prince. Ega explains, "This is Jackson, the head of the blacksmith guild." Ruohan just nods, keeping his eyes on the old master. But Jackson furiously roars at the other workers. "What are you doing? Stop working and kneel before His Highness right now." Ruohan instantly gets annoyed, slapping a hand over the guy's mouth. "Too noisy." He frowns slightly. Behind Jackson, the other blacksmiths lower their eyes in frustration, and the half-finished sword is just left sitting there on the anvil. Ruohan catches on instantly. Looks like his arrival interrupted their crucial work. He tells them it is unnecessary, just keep on forging. Only stop if you want to put out every fire here. Immediately, the relieved workers scramble back to their intense daily grind. What are you waiting for? Get the bellows ready. Gruhon just stands there, crossing his arms and sinking deep into his own thoughts. He continues to stare intently at the master swordsmith. The old man just keeps working flawlessly, sweat pouring down his focused face. Suddenly, the master brings a heavy hammer violently crashing down on the blade. Brilliant red sparks explode, completely wrapping around the old man's body. A massive flame erupts. Through Gruhon's eyes, he is standing right in the middle of an absolute sea of fire. Right in front of him echoes the rhythmic striking of the master swordsmith. The whole image now looks like a perfect circle, entirely engulfed in raging flames. Gruhon thinks to himself, what exactly is this intense feeling? Aga chimes in, saying that for some unknown reason, the old man has spent 6 months forging swords only to melt them down again. Gruhon asks if it is just because they are all failed products. Aga chuckles softly. Not exactly. Every single blade he creates is praised as an absolute masterpiece, which is exactly why everyone calls him the master swordsmith. I know what you are thinking, those past blades looked flawless, right? Yet somehow, he just melted every single one of them down. It makes absolutely no sense. And get this, for the past month, he has barely slept, pouring every ounce of focus into his work. Given his old age, we are endlessly worried about him, Gruhon thinks to himself. Now that is a true, genuine blacksmith. For the next few days, the prince shows up at the forge at dawn and does not leave until late into the night. Throughout all that time, the old master just keeps grinding away at his daily work, while the prince quietly watches from the sidelines. It is a totally different vibe from their initial panic about the first prince arriving, and absolutely nothing crazy happens. Eventually, the inevitable day for the prince to leave finally rolls around. Gruhon stands in silence, his face looking like he really wants to say something. Meanwhile, the blacksmith just keeps hammering away at his work. Suddenly, he breaks the silence. I really wanted to see the finished sword before I had to leave. Aga stares at the prince's face in pure shock. Gruhon thinks to himself, what a real shame. Anyway, I should get going. Word is, there is a farewell party tonight, and he departs at dawn tomorrow. Maybe that is exactly why, even just a little bit, the old man really wanted the prince to see the finished blade before leaving. Later that evening, Aga frantically shouts out, Your Highness! Gruhon had just stepped foot right outside the mansion. Aga yells that the master finished the sword, and trust me, you want to see this. Immediately, Gruhon and the crew sprint straight back to the forge. The master swordsmith is standing there holding the freshly forged blade, carefully wiping down the gleaming metal in his hands. Alright, stick with me here. You and I are about to watch an absolute masterpiece being born. The old man kneels, offering a gleaming sword. He presents the blade directly to the prince. In the background, Aga just watches in absolute shock. The smith speaks of forging it like the morning sun, letting it cool to match the exact royal purple shade of his highness. He recites the blacksmith's ancient song, claiming a blade like the sun itself, mirroring the absolute power of the king, is finally born. Gruhon checks his reflection on the flawless steel, asking if it has a name. The master smith humbly suggests calling it Twilight. Gruhon tilts his head. So is it the twilight of the evening when the sun sets, or the twilight of dawn when it rises? The old man answers. For him, it marks the end, but for his highness, a beginning. Gruhon laughs out loud, totally surprised by such deep words from a simple blacksmith. The exhausted master smith calls it an honor. Suddenly, his strength fails. Gruhon quickly reaches out, catching the old man before he falls, ordering his men that they are staying here tonight. Night finally falls. The royal guards stand right outside the tent, keeping a very strict watch. Inside, Gruhon sits quietly by the bed where the dying master blacksmith is resting. The old man suddenly speaks up. The moment the prince stood behind him, the sword's fate was sealed. In that exact second, as if guided by pure destiny, it chose its own birthday. Gruhon leans in. You really think so? Then he whispers something secret to the smith. The old man's face instantly changes in pure shock. My God, so you are actually Gruhon. The prince replies calmly. Of course, he understands the smith's true feelings. The old master sighs deeply, so that explains it. Now everything makes sense to him. He asks to hold the blade one last time. Gruhon immediately hands the sword over to him. The master's trembling hands grip the hilt tight. He prays this blade will become just as legendary and great as the prince himself. Now pay close attention. A heavy, emotional silence drops between them. Gruhon suddenly grips the man's hand. He promises it will, but right then, he realizes the master blacksmith is already gone forever. Gruhon sits there in absolute silence, bowing his head respectfully. The old master just looks like he fell into a long, peaceful sleep. Gruhon's voice is barely a whisper, making a genuine promise. Count on it. Scene change. Aga presents another sword, resting perfectly inside a red velvet box. He doesn't dare compare it to the master's soul-forged blade, But since this magic sword was meant for the prince, he begs him to just accept it. Gruhon happily takes it, admitting that while it is not top tier, it is still an excellent mid-grade weapon. Aga nervously asks about the other sword. Gruhon explains that a master's blade forged with his entire soul is an absolutely priceless and unmatched gift. Yet they still wanted to offer a magic sword too. The Ellen family's loyalty to the royals is seriously on another level. Aga replies sadly, calling it an honor. He planned to use the flashy magic sword as bait to get the master's blade back. Instead, a total fail. He just lost both completely. Shortly after, Velo orders the entourage and foot soldiers to just take it slow behind them. The cavalry pushes ahead at top speed. They are behind schedule and need to rush. Everyone keep up. The soldiers yell their obedience. Gruhon walks right up to him. He mentions how busy Velo looks, noting he barely even saw the guy back at the Count's estate. Velo simply replies that His Majesty gave him private orders. Gruhon mutters that his little sightseeing trip is probably over. Velo confirms it, telling him he better get himself ready too. They need to ride hard today to reach the Iron City before nightfall. Suddenly, Gruhon casually drops a bomb. By the way, I cannot ride horses. I know what you and I are thinking, a master swordsman who can't ride? Hilarious. Velo and all the surrounding soldiers look completely, utterly helpless. A swordsman who doesn't ride? On the rough journey to the Iron Lion City, an exhausted Gruhon just walks while dragging his horse along. It took a full day instead of half, but they finally make it there. Gruhon announces they have reached the Iron Lion City. Footsteps immediately echo all around them. Gon Ratenga Josh respectfully greets the first prince. The Iron Lion squad formally welcomes the noble descendant of the mighty Leonberger bloodline. Rohan actually feels a bit awkward. It is just way too much unnecessary flexing, and honestly, that is the only way to describe it. He looks over at Arwen. Let us test this out, Arwen. She bows her head super low, saying this humble servant has been waiting every single day just to see His Highness's face again. Immediately, Rohan notices glaring, hateful eyes locking right onto him. They definitely have some fast reflexes. But behind him, Adelia's eyes flash a dangerous, glowing red. Oh crap, that hostility aimed at her master just completely triggered her killer instincts. He shouts her name. Her eyes finally start calming down. Yes, Your Highness. Rohan sighs, good thing he trained her well. Arwen, follow me. Trust me, you and I are going to want to see what happens next. Alright, stick with me because we are jumping right into the action. We have unfinished business, right? Those guys in the back better come too. Moments later, everyone gathers at the training grounds. Gruhon declares, I want to test the sword skills of the kingdom's absolute best Iron Knights. Who is going to show me some real Iron Knight techniques? The young recruits behind him just look at each other, totally nervous. Gruhon narrows his eyes, glaring right at them. If my royal status makes you scared, I swear on the honor of Leonberger that I will not punish anyone over the results of this spar. Still, nobody stepping up? For a world-famous squad, you guys are acting like total cowards. Ah, so that #1 title in the kingdom is just pure bluffing. Instantly, a red-haired guy steps right up to the plate. Denon Daly at your service, even though my current rank does not truly represent the main squad. But if Your Highness allows it, I would like to test my strength. Gruhon smiles. No need to ask for my permission. I was the one who suggested it anyway. Denon charges in immediately. Then please be careful. Gruhon slowly gets into his fighting stance. With a cold smirk, he moves fast as the wind, swinging a direct attack right at his opponent. Now watch closely, because this is where the gap in power shows. Denon is shocked, tasting blood in his mouth before getting completely blasted away by the pure impact. Gruhon laughs and calls out, "Next victim!" The other young recruits are left absolutely frozen, staring in horror at Denon lying there. Another guy grabs his sword. Ponrothham requests a match. Senior Daly only joined a year ago, but I have 3 years of experience. But literally a second later, he gets swatted away by Gruhon just like a fly. The others keep stepping up anyway. I am Holly, 5-year trainee, and Judith with 8 years of experience. Iron Knights will never lose to anyone. Yeah, well, every single one of them gets taken down in exactly 1 hit. Gruhon stays totally calm, not even breaking a sweat. A little later, this incredibly one-sided massacre of a battle finally starts coming to an end. Gruhon looks around at all the trainee knights groaning on the dirt. He seems a bit annoyed, sighing, "Oh man, give me a break. I wanted to fight the official members. These guys are way too slow." Owen looks at him in complete surprise. "Yes, Your Highness," Gruhon tells her. "When I leave this place, you are coming with me." Owen smiles softly, looking at him with gentle eyes. "At your command!" Suddenly a man stands up. "Your Highness!" Gruhon thinks to himself. "Was that too easy?" Fahrenheit continues. I heard that you enjoy a good bet. To make things more interesting, let us try a small bet. If I win, Your Highness. Gruhon cuts him off completely. Absolutely not. Owen is not some prize to be won in a game. Owen gasps in surprise. Your Highness! Gruhon continues. Let us bet something else instead. Cass, bring my sword over here. If you win, I will give you this exact blade. You saw that reaction too, right? The moment they see the sword, both Owen and Fahrenheit turn completely pale. Owen quickly speaks up. Your Highness, I would rather you bet me. Gruhon interrupts her. You are worth 100,000 times more than this sword. A knight's true value cannot be measured by some ordinary weapon. Fahrenheit flashes a very satisfied grin. Very well then, Your Highness. I am Fahrenheit Dunham, an official Iron Knight, currently on the verge of reaching the 3-chain tier. Gruhon looks at him with pure disdain. So in the end, you are still just at 2 chains, Fahrenheit loudly declares. This sword here is the 17th masterpiece made by the legendary blacksmith. If Your Highness wins, it will belong to you. Gruhon smirks softly. What an unbelievable coincidence. He quickly unsheathes the blade in his hands. I also happen to have a sword forged by that exact same master. It is his 100th masterpiece. Fahrenheit replies, I have never even heard news of the master forging a 100th sword. Gruhon answers smoothly, of course you have not. This is the final sword he finished just days ago. Fahrenheit mutters, yeah, all right then. Even if Your Highness is walking down the wrong path, I can still see the relentless effort in every single step you take. Because of that, I will show some respect and fight seriously. Gruhon chuckles. Wrong path? That is pretty arrogant, but this spot never belonged to me anyway. Respect from my own subordinates is more than enough for me. Adelia watches everything closely. She is immediately startled hearing him refer to her. Wait, huh? A powerful surge of blue magic completely surrounds Adelia. He smiles warmly. This path right here is the one you must continue to walk. Adelia nods her head in understanding. Yes. Suddenly, her own golden magic flares up brightly. I get it now. I will definitely remember this, Your Highness. Meanwhile, Vio calmly sets his teacup down on the table. So how many times have we visited the Iron Knights now, Gon? Rotenga replies, this is the 4th time. Veo thinks deeply for a moment. Your Highness, the 4th prince does not care about the throne, so he will not visit. Your Highness, the 3rd prince and 5th prince both came to visit while the 1st prince was under house arrest. And not too long ago, the 2nd prince also stopped by to check in. Gon Rotenga continues, no matter how absolutely terrible his reputation gets, the 1st prince is still the legitimate heir to the kingdom. So what do we make of this? With things this bad, you share the blame, especially if you, the 3rd Corps commander, stand back. Stick with me, if anyone had just supported the prince, he wouldn't be completely isolated now. Yet now, why play the fake guardian? Vel knew it was true. He had completely abandoned his own grandson. Not just a bad ruler, but a total tyrant. His grandson was an absolute, irredeemable monster. One day, Adrian got totally wasted on dark herbs. Vel yelled, "Are you insane?" But the kid literally swung a sword right at him. An absolute scumbag. When Vel headed back to the north, absolutely disgusted, his grandson sent him poisoned wine. He even had the absolute nerve to attach a note saying, "A gift." Furious, Vel grabbed the cup. He used his mana to burn away that cheap poison, along with whatever family love was left. But that completely unhinged kid who seemed impossible to fix, he changed. Bitter training every day, leveling up like absolute crazy. Gon Rotenga shouted, "Didn't you say it yourself? The 1st prince has absolutely zero chance of becoming king." Vel clenched his fists tightly, but he is completely different now. Just give him one chance. At least let him start on the exact same line as the others. I am begging you. Gon Rotenga froze in shock. I do not get it. Have you changed or has the prince changed? But first, raise your head, you proud lion. Suddenly, a voice screamed out, "Sir Gon Rotenga, His Highness, the 1st prince." Gon Rotenga quickly reassured everyone. Do not worry. Dunham knows his limits. Nothing bad will happen. Now watch this. Even in a real duel, no knight drops a prince. Vel cut in. Worry about your completely average knight instead. Gon Rotenga was completely shocked. You are acting so weird, looking pale and talking absolute nonsense right now. Instantly, Fahrenheit's body was sent flying right at them. Gon Rotenga screamed in pure shock, "Dunham!" The crowd went absolutely wild. Dunham is out cold. His Highness won. Gon Rotenga could not believe his eyes. What the heck is this? Vel smirked. I told you. Up ahead, Gruhon calmly wiped off some blood. Vel smirked. We are perfectly fine. Gruhon coldly shouted, next challenger. During their insane clash, Fahrenheit kept repeating one thing, a knight only truly levels up from the 2nd round. Gruhon was panting hard but refused to quit. That wasn't a joke, his combat poetry just was not strong enough yet. But he obviously could not waste dragon-slaying poetry on some completely basic knight. So, super concentration skill fully activated, all sound vanished. This body was not even his anymore. You know what this means. Gruhon felt his pupils burn with blue fire. That insane feeling again. They violently clashed again. A massive blinding flash exploded, and Fahrenheit was blasted completely out of bounds. Gruhon smiled with pure satisfaction, wiping blood off his face. Next one up. He swung his blade, blocking a blonde guy's brutal strike. A wild, satisfied smirk crossed his face before he charged straight back in. A heavy crash shook the arena. Gruhon swung his sword once again, his intense eyes flashing bright blue. He absolutely launched another red-haired guy away. Then, moving like a complete blur, he dashed at the brown-haired man. He smirked lightly, dirt covering his fierce face. Just moments later, Gruhon finally lowered his heavy sword, exhausted. He had completely dominated every single challenger. Gruhon panted heavily, totally drained from pushing his absolute limits. The crowd absolutely lost it. Peyton is out. His Highness just crushed 5 guys in a row. 100 heavy clashes, 1,000 crashing waves. Even facing endless giant storms, I will stand tall. The system-flashed combat poetry gained brand new lines. Only now do I proudly stand with my sword. Combat poetry hit an extraordinary peak level. Evolving to match his crazy power, combat poetry became epic duel poetry. Gruhon smirked in victory. I did it. Then his body literally gave out from pure exhaustion. Instantly, a young guy rushed over to catch him. Are you okay? I offer my absolute respect for your Highness's epic victory. The whole crowd roared. Pure respect to the first prince's blade. Respect his unbreakable will. Respect his absolute victory. Gruhon was completely caught off guard. What is this? Weren't they just trying to eat me alive? Gonrotenga stood outside and smiled. Their nature is honestly just super simple. Epic sword skills and sweet victory, nothing makes them crazier. Vel approached Gruhon. You thought they would hold a grudge? So what do we take from this? An honest loss beats a fake win. Everyone fought hard, who cares about losing? A guy chimed in. Dunham might be slightly salty though. Everyone laughed. Stick with me here, you are going to love this. He used to be insanely proud of that sword, but now he just hands it over, both laughing. He was so damn arrogant just because of a single blade. Gruhon thinks to himself, I actually believed that everything, even the mana heart, was completely forgotten and thrown away. But it turns out one thing remained exactly the same, absolute calmness in victory and defeat. That pure respect for the strong, the true aura of real knights. As Gruhon gets ready to hit the road, he just casually says, Guess I will see you next time. Gonrotenga bows down with deep respect. Wishing you a safe journey, your highness. Take care of yourself until then, Count. Suddenly, Gruhon turns his head back around. Oh right, Count Gonrotenga, please keep absolutely everything that happened during my stay here a strict secret. Gonrotenga looks totally confused by this. Would it not be much better for your highness to actually make this public? Gruhon just gives a slight smirk and replies, I really just want to mess with a certain bastard. A little while later, Cash announces to the group, We are setting up camp here for the night, let me patrol the area. Gruhon simply nods. Yeah, sounds good. For some reason, he catches Owen staring right at him intently. Whatever, he figures Owen will eventually adapt to all of this soon enough. Time for me to get some rest too. Inside the tent, Adelia happily greets him. Your Highness, are you here? Gruhon feels completely helpless right now. He thinks, I literally picked up an S-Class sword genius. Yet here she is doing totally basic chores, acting exactly like some ordinary little maid. Adelia nervously asks, Your Highness, are you perhaps dissatisfied with something going on right now? He flops onto the bed. No, never mind, just head outside. Adelia looks a bit sad hearing him say that. Yes, Your Highness. Gruhon thinks to himself, the Iron Lion Knights are completely different from what I originally imagined. Most regular knights never even make it past B-class sword skills. If this was the past, even after a lifetime of training, they would hit mid-tier at best, then fade away into nothing like nameless mortals. Now pay attention here, because today, those exact same guys are reaching elite master level tiers while still in their 20s and 30s. Sure, superhuman skills declined heavily and cannot compare, but average mortal potential has absolutely skyrocketed, and that right there is the legendary mana chain. Gruhon himself was someone who could literally reach the transcendent tier back in the old days, so giving up on all that insane potential leaves him feeling completely frustrated. But in this current era, there are 0 chances left to build a legacy beyond the superhuman limit. Ultimately, it is all just the unstoppable flow of the changing times. I have to admit it, he thinks, I do not understand this era at all. so I will just have to learn everything from scratch. Suddenly, Vio speaks up. That is a great mindset. It is never too late. If you push yourself now, you can still achieve your ultimate dream. Gruhon is caught off guard. What dream? Veo continues right on. Have you not already won the total loyalty of the Iron Lions? The other princes could never blend in so easily with them like you did. A brilliant move, Gruhon. He says this in a weirdly affectionate tone. Goosebumps instantly shoot all over his body. What the hell is going on? Why is he acting like this? Is the old man completely crazy? Vio just smiles. Did you somehow forget the terms of our little bet? If you mean the bet about taking down the 3 princes, I remember. Vio cuts him right off. Nope, definitely not that one. Our bet was about taking down a double-chain knight, so I consider that my victory. I am going to keep my promise right now. Gruhon has absolutely no clue what this guy is planning to do. Suddenly, Vio formally places a hand on his chest. As Count Vio Bannerhat and the commander of the Third Army, I officially throw my absolute full support behind the first prince, Adrian Leonberg. You and I both know Gruhon is totally lost here. What does that even mean? Then he remembers Veo saying, just trust me. Gruhon is internally screaming right now. I never once said I wanted to be the king. Veo dropping this massive declaration is basically a huge bomb going off. The palace staff joyfully celebrate him. Your Highness, huge congratulations to you. Truly congratulations. This is an absolute blessing for our entire kingdom. The newly assigned knights and soldiers start creating total chaos. Brand new maids and servants sent straight from the royal palace are rushing everywhere, and suddenly Gruhon gets completely shoved right into the center of everything. He yells out, "This is so annoying. Kick all of them out right now." Cash replies, "The royal family ordered them here. Even if you order them to leave, they simply will not listen." Gruhon snaps back. "Then at least chase them somewhere else out of my sight. They are way too damn loud." Cash immediately signals the head maid. A moment later, his entire room is completely empty, and Gruhon looks incredibly satisfied with the peace. Much quieter now, this is so much better. Suddenly, the third Prince Jillian violently kicks the door open and shouts, "Is Big Brother in here?" Gruhon groans. "What are you doing here now?" Jillian sneers coldly at him. "You put on a really good act." Secretly learning sword techniques from Count Bannerhat, and even revealing such massive ambitions, Gruhon asks in pure confusion, "Wait, who learned the sword from who?" Jillian furiously yells back, "I really wanted to save face for you, brother, but why act like this? I tried my hardest not to completely embarrass you out there." Gruhon smirks, "Wow, I am practically crying here." Jillian roars, "Big brother, you made a huge mistake. I will make you pay for tricking me. So what do you and I expect next? Absolute chaos. Stick with me here." Gruhon is completely annoyed. "I already said I do not care about that stupid throne. He really needs to track down whoever caused this whole mess." A moment later, he sighs, "Hey uncle, I guess I will cooperate with you for now. But we pull out when the time is right. I have zero interest in that throne. How could you just act without even discussing it with me first?" Vio completely catches on. "Are you just worried about the Bernhard family?" The Bernhard family is basically the absolute shield protecting the kingdom from northern mountain monsters. As long as the royals and nobles never forget the harsh winter cold, the Bernhard house will never fall to ruin. Gruhon nods. "Well, that is good then." Veo continues pressing him. "It is only a matter of time before this happens anyway. Do you seriously not know the dark fate of royal firstborn who ignore their status? Even if you lay low, the situation will never change. If you need time to accept it, take as long as you want. But remember this. Your heavy duties and rights as the eldest son will not vanish unless you die." Gruhon mutters to himself. "No matter how much time passes, I am never going to change. What I really need to find is that absolute, transcendent power and strength I once reached. So do not expect me to fight for some useless succession, right? Now watch closely." The scene directly shifts to a massive, lavish banquet inside the palace. A booming voice suddenly echoes out. "The pure bloodline of the Leonberger kingdom, the absolute royal firstborn of the family. Please welcome the first prince, Adrian Leonberger." Down below, dozens of greedy eyes immediately flash toward him as he walks in. Off in the distance, Sigron actually smirks at his grand entrance. Well, at least until the royal banquet officially gets started. Gruhon slowly walks down the grand staircase into the party. His face is completely calm, almost unsettlingly cold and composed. One young noble lady gasps out loud in total admiration. Absolutely unbelievable. His majestic presence looks exactly like a young king in the making. Gruhon just scoffs internally, making all this obnoxious noise just because I lost a little weight? These are supposed to be our kingdom's nobles? Absolutely ridiculous. Every single one of them triggers the exact same trait notification above their heads' venomous heart. Gruhon quietly scans the room. These are the clear criminal markers of people who ruthlessly steal innocent lives. It is disgusting to think they all carry this filth. In this massive crowd, only one person is actually worth looking at. He turns his head right. Ignoring all their fake flattery about how majestic he looks now, Gruhon calls out loudly, "Taylor, since you are already here, why didn't you come greet me?" Taylor panics. "Your Highness, my deepest apologies. I just wanted to thank you for inviting me." Gruhon analyzes him. People with absolutely zero talent, but who still somehow keep their conscience intact. Yeah, that is definitely enough to be a solid vessel for the seeds I will plant from now on. Suddenly, a palace soldier shouts at the top of his lungs, "Attention! Recognized legally by the Bourgogne Emperor. Marquis Montpellier of Bourgogne, the imperial envoy Couillon de Bourgogne-Montpellier has arrived." Gruhon snaps his head around, his expression instantly changing. "What?" The surrounding nobles all bow down respectfully. Couillon looks around with a totally satisfied smirk. "Long time no see, Prince." Gruhon's eyes instantly ignite with pure, unadulterated hatred. Bourgogne, the exact same enemy he and his friends fought against 400 years ago, leaving countless devastating scars across this entire country. You see this too, right? How dare he show up right in front of my face today? Suddenly, a stream of red wine splashes directly onto his clothes. Gruhon is totally caught off guard by this sudden mess. Marquis Billy Fay panics. "Your Highness, are you okay? I rushed over to greet you and slipped. My deepest apologies." Gruhon just dangerously narrows his eyes. Looking right over the old man's shoulder, Couillon's face actually flinches in shock when he meets his deadly glare. The atmosphere around them instantly gets insanely tense. Gruhon quickly turns his back to walk away. "I need to change my clothes." Marquis Billy Fay bows low in shame. "This clumsy old body of mine would not listen, causing me to make a very serious mistake today." Kale steps up. "Your Highness, please let me escort you safely." Gruhon wonders to himself, "Who is this guy?" Kale quickly replies, "That is the great Marquis Billy Fay." Gruhon smirks slightly. Billy Fay. So it turns out they aren't all totally rotten. My head is finally thinking clearly again thanks to that. A little while later, Gruhon is sitting quietly inside his room. Vio slowly walks through the door. "I heard what just happened down there." His face gets dead serious, looking visibly displeased with the situation. "Marquis Billy Fay said you looked exactly like you were about to cause trouble. Turns out that old man wasn't exactly wrong, so tell me, what are you actually planning to do?" Gruhon just scoffs. "Come on, I am not that reckless. I just absolutely cannot understand that evil Bourgogne family being here right now, showing off their power right in the heart of our kingdom, while our own nobles show him more respect than the royal family. The tension is way too high to ever be called peace. This relationship is too submissive to ever be called an actual alliance. How did our country fall to such a pathetic state?" Veo sighs. "Nothing special, really. The kingdom actually used to be fiercely resilient. We fought off countless brutal imperial invasions. Elite knights proudly stood up to push back the enemy forces. But as time passed by, the empire just kept growing stronger, and the power gap widened. Against an absolute superpower empire, we had to kneel." Gruhon freezes. "Is it because of that thing? Even for a small country on the continent's edge? So what do we make of this? Trust me, the mystery only deepens. Let's dive into this wild manhwa, where this kingdom once held the ultimate weapon against the mighty empire. Countless victories were endlessly stacked up over time. Some were completely ordinary, while others were truly extraordinary. Sometimes myths, sometimes legends, or even the grand mythology of Muspelheim's itself. But sadly, we lost all of those epic war anthems. I changed my mind." Vio looks at him, totally stunned. "What do you mean?" Gruhon answers straight up, "I will actually try to become the king." Vio's face instantly flashes with pure surprise at his absolute determination. Gruhon thinks to himself, "I might totally regret this decision later. But honestly, it is exactly what I have to do. I practically helped build half this country anyway." On the second day of the grand banquet, Gruhon gives himself a small nod to hype himself up. A loud announcement suddenly rings out. His Highness, the first Prince, Adrian Leonberg, is now entering. Lord Vio of the Northern Banner territory is entering. Gruhon casually stares down the crowd of nobles right in front of him. They are all looking down at each other, looking completely anxious. Gruhon thinks to himself, "You call this etiquette? This is way ruder than how they treat foreign nobles." He has absolutely no idea what to say. Old memories suddenly flash into his mind. Back in the day, when my friend stood before the people, nobody thought he'd become king. Because back then, he was just some country bumpkin from a remote village. Even among those who had absolutely everything stripped away and were chased out, he never really stood out at all. Watch closely here, things are about to get wild. He steps up exactly like his friend did. Suddenly, a brilliant blue light completely surrounds his body. Oh, you who have eyes but absolutely cannot see. Standing tall right before this flock of sheep, I loudly sing the Grand Monarch's epic anthem. Suddenly, the system pops up. Your current abilities cannot handle the pure grade of this epic anthem. A massive portion of the war song has been skipped. He can only sing a single verse of the epic song, which is basically 1/4. Rohan thinks to himself, compared to the true Dragon World destroying anthem, this honestly is not too unbearable to handle. Still, there is no epic song more perfect for this exact situation than this one. For right now, this is more than enough. The intense blue magic quickly forms the shape of a gorgeous crown and a heavy cloak, perfectly draping over Rohan's shoulders. The magical cloak flutters dramatically in the air, instantly grabbing the attention of every noble around. Everyone is completely stunned by his incredibly bold move. Then slowly, one by one, every single noble places a hand on their chest and respectfully bows their head before him. Rohan smiles and declares, "You may all raise your heads now." Suddenly, a totally different magical aura catches his attention. This energy, it belongs to an elf. Sigron speaks up. "What a surprise! I never expected anyone to still remember the epic war anthem." Rohan's eyes shoot wide open the second he sees her. No, that is not just some random elf. The girl's stunning face slowly reveals itself from beneath the dark cloak. "You and I know that panic, right?" Rohan totally freaks out. Why the hell is this crazy woman here? The most gorgeous beings crafted by the gods. A supposedly gentle race who would never look down on even the smallest, most fragile life. They are the dedicated gardeners of the forest, living anywhere from a short 300 years to a massive 1,000 years. That is exactly what humans normally think about elves. But in brutal reality, they are a completely ruthless race who use their insane beauty as bait to utterly destroy their enemies. High elves are basically born with the absolute qualities of legendary heroes, and among all elves, they are by far the most dangerously lethal. Plus, this person is not just your average high elf. This elf has lived for nearly 1,000 years. She is the High Elf Grand Elder, Sigrin, a dancing magic swordswoman, and a legendary member of the exact expedition that slashed down the Mad Dragon 400 years ago. Rohan clearly remembers her old words. "If your master dies, do you want to tag along with me? I promise I will make sure you are never bored for life." So what if you are just a sword? The fact that you are a sword honestly makes me crave you even more. He instantly recalls the absolute maniac who tortured him until he couldn't even budge. Oh no, could she have actually recognized him already? Right after I literally just finished reciting the monarch's epic, a poem that even she knows perfectly by heart. Sigrin slowly speaks up. "We have definitely met somewhere before, haven't we?" Rohan frantically shakes his head. She continues, "How strange. Why does this feel so incredibly familiar to me?" Rohan replies, "This is actually the very first time I have seen an elf with my own eyes," Sigrin mutters. "First time?" Rohan quickly shoots back. "Seriously?" Even so, Sigrin slightly tilts her head, intensely studying him for a long moment. Liar. Rohan thinks to himself, even 400 years ago, Sigrin was an absolute top-tier master during my life as a sword. What kind of terrifying monster has she become by now? Sigrin speaks up. Human reactions when seeing an elf for the first time usually fall into two types. Most normal mortals get completely mesmerized, while those with seriously high-level cultivation immediately put their guard up. But to me, your highness clearly has not reached that expert tier yet. Rohan quickly answers, "My standard for beauty is just a bit different from normal people, that's all." Sigrin doesn't answer him for quite a long while. Then, she slowly pulls her heavy cloak back on. She says meeting him was a joy. Rohan breathes a huge sigh of relief. And that's where we leave it. Crazy, right? Alright, stick with me. We're jumping right into a royal selection that goes totally off the rails. Rohan looks completely unimpressed. One candidate is trembling behind her mother. Another looks absolutely furious just seeing him. He mutters, "Are you here to fight me?" Way too immature and completely boring. Queen Margarita literally holds her head in frustration at her son's blunt words. This is a princess selection. You can't expect these young girls to act like the seasoned women we usually deal with. The future princess needs to be wise, kind, and perfectly healthy, with a massive powerhouse family backing her up. Suddenly, a loud voice echoes out. The elf delegation requests an audience. Queen Margarita instantly turns around. Ah, so that's the play. Sigrin leads her delegation into the palace. "I am Sigron of the Mistletoe tribe, greeting the beautiful queen." Margarita happily replies, "It has been forever since elves visited us." Truly astonishing. Sigron keeps pushing. "I see the queen is searching for a worthy partner for his highness. Is that right? Just as you might have guessed, I am a high-ranking elf. In human terms, that basically means I come from a super ancient, ridiculously powerful noble bloodline." Gruhon feels a sudden chill. What on earth is happening? Sigrun cheerfully adds, and coincidentally, my age is quite close to His Highness. Gruhon wants to scream. Lies! You are almost 1,000 years older. How can she spout such a shameless lie with a totally straight face? Sigrun continues, I heard eternally beautiful elves make the absolute perfect ideal partners for you humans. Plus, I always have my personal attendants following me around. In human terms, that is basically having my own private night order. Now pay close attention, this is where it gets crazy. She claims their destinies are intertwining. Gruhon freezes, his face going totally dark. Elves absolutely never lie about their destined fate. So wait, were those bold words actually her true, sincere feelings just now? Margarita gasps, how is that possible? Truly bold. The nobles start buzzing too. Speaking of which, elves value fate more than anything. Will the kingdom actually ally with the elves? Good heavens. Gruhon practically sprints down, grabs Sigrun by the wrist, and drags her away. Excuse us for a moment. The nobles gasp at his reckless behavior. Scene changes. Gruhon slams the door shut. He glares at the stunning girl behind him. Sigrun, tell me your actual real purpose for being here. Sigrun just gives a gentle smile. Could it be to strengthen friendship between our races? Gruhon speaks cold as ice. Let me ask again. Elf Grand Elder Sigrun, the executioner bearing all the killing karma, the blood-soaked sword of the mistletoe tribe for centuries. Are you here just to investigate me, or to execute me? Sigrun smirks. How interesting. How do you know my true identity? Gruhon stays dead silent. We both know she is pure danger. A literal monster far beyond his current level. Her sensing his destiny means she has reached a realm high enough to glimpse the past heavily imprinted on his very soul. Sigrun finally speaks up, knowing I am the executioner. Do you realize how foolish staying silent in front of me is? Gruhon just smiles. I understand perfectly. Babbling to an executioner is infinitely more stupid. Enough with all these little games, Sigrun. Do not interfere with my destiny. Right now, she is only feeling a tiny bit of superficial curiosity about him. If this keeps up, a lowly human's fate will be absolutely shredded to pieces by a crazy elf's bare hands. Better to flip the script, make her deeply interested instead, turning himself into a delicacy worth ripening up over time. To savor slowly, rather than just taking a few quick bites and tossing him aside. Sigrun stares excitedly. Gruhon sighs. Right now I am just a miserable prince, completely abandoned by my own father. Sigrun eagerly asks, then what about you? Who are you really? Well, if you want to know, just wait and see. Sigrun pauses at his very blunt answer. I found it strange too. Why send me on a mission here? It made zero sense. But now I finally get it. It is all because of you. Gruhon's face instantly drops. No matter how many times we meet, you remain a terrifying woman. Moments later, Gruhon and Sigrun enter the banquet, holding hands. The nobles are completely utterly shocked. Oh my god. Gruhon stops before the throne. I have a request. I wish to get engaged to Sigrun. He never thought he would say her name so gently. Right now, fighting Sigrun's deadly curiosity is impossible. Margarita mutters, considering an elf marriage. Gruhon thinks to himself, I must buy some time here. So what do you and I make of this? He needs time. He claims they should observe things temporarily, and Margarita agrees. Gruhon thought to himself, giving the princess time to reconsider this marriage arrangement and letting Sigrun marinate this guy like some kind of top-tier delicacy. Stick with me here. For our guy, this is the perfect time to build up his strength and escape that absolute psycho of an elf. Julian screamed in absolute fury. Damn it all, you absolute little bastard. He has absolutely nothing over me except being born first, yet he still dares to act so high and mighty. He panted with pure disgust. Lately, it is not just that our uncle suddenly decided to publicly take his side out of nowhere. He even stole the heart of the Iron Lion City's lady, and now he actually has the nerve to mess with the elf tribe. I originally thought that as a woman, her worth would just stop at having a pretty face, but I never expected the elf tribe to have a presence way beyond my imagination. Oh right, I actually have a sparring match coming up with that guy. Killing him would make things way too complicated, so I might as well just slash him up. Leaving him crippled as a man will solve everything. I am going to crush him right under my boot in the most pathetic way possible. Sir Hugh frowned slightly as he looked toward the arena. This sparring match is officially witnessed by me, the commander of the Royal Knights, the man bearing the glorious Silver Lion title, Sir Hugh Stewart. I officially declare this match open. No one will be allowed to dispute the final results of this fight. I ask both your highnesses to please draw your swords now. Now watch closely. Gruhon yawned in total boredom. It is just a sword fight. Why so much talking? Julian chuckled. I prepared a lot for you. I even brought quite a huge crowd to watch. Are you feeling satisfied? I really hope you do not end up disappointing all the people who came here, Gruhon replied coldly. I already noticed them earlier. You just talk way too much. Julian gritted his teeth in pure anger. Once this match is over, I really hope you still have the energy to talk like you are right now, Gruhon calmly replied. Honestly, I was originally planning to play around with you a little bit. He rushed in with a massive swing, but I am actually a bit busy now. Boom! Julian instantly collapsed, coughing violently. The whole crowd was absolutely stunned. Sir Hugh could not even believe his own eyes. Is that really His Highness, the first prince? The one I used to know? Gruhon gave a slight nod to end it, while behind him, Julian was just laid out flat on the dirt. Sir Hugh announced loudly, "As the official witness and supervisor of this arena match, I have made my ruling. The third prince can no longer continue fighting. The winner is His Highness, the first prince." Gruhon threw a cold, sharp glare around the entire training ground. You call yourselves nobles, yet you all gathered here just to watch kids fight? Outside the ring, a few young aristocrats started whispering in shock. Did Prince Julian really just lose? He is a highly promising two-chain knight of the kingdom. How could he possibly be defeated by the first prince, a guy who literally just started his cultivation a few months ago? Scene shifts. Julian suddenly jolted awake, his entire face covered in medical bandages. I know what you are thinking. Rematch time, that damn useless bastard. He shoved the door open. Get everything ready. I am definitely going back to fight him to the death. An anxious knight spoke up. Your Highness, the first prince already left the capital with Count Bernhard. Right after the match ended. Julian was totally stunned. Left? Where to? The knight replied. Rumor says he headed north, straight to the Bernhard family territory. Scene shifts. Vel spoke up. You have gotten pretty good at riding a horse now, haven't you? Gruhon smiled back at him. Once you get the hang of these things, you learn them super fast. Am I right? Vel looked instantly full of regret. I should not have said anything. You really need to learn some humility. But why are you in such a crazy rush? The banquet is over. Why didn't you just rest up for a few days? Gruhon replied, because the capital has no place for me. I have zero intention of begging for support from fools who cannot even recognize the true master of their own country. They only know how to suck up to the Empire's hunting dogs. Compared to those snobby nobles, soldiers and knights will suit me way better, right? Vel replied. They might not be as good at scheming as the aristocrats, but they are far more loyal. Do you really think winning their hearts is going to be easy? Gruhon just smiled. He justified it casually. Go through life and death together, and the bond will naturally form. What are you even worried about? Vel muttered quietly under his breath. I still cannot shake the feeling that you are rushing this way too much. Gruhon thought to himself. Well, if I kept hesitating, I would end up forced to marry that absolute crazy woman. In the past, literally every single person she set her sights on ended up completely destroyed. I have to massively boost my strength before that happens. That is impossible to do in the peaceful capital city, so I had absolutely no choice but to leave immediately. So what do you and I take from this? The best place to level up and sharpen his blade is the battlefield, the ultimate testing ground where true character is forged and war anthems are born. The exact place I need to be is the front line, Vel explained, pointing ahead. That peak right there is the Blade Mountain Range. It is the brutal borderline my family has spent our entire lives guarding. Gruhon shivered violently and muttered, Yeah, and it is freezing to death out here. All right, stick with me here. Bale casually suggests hiding in the carriage to escape the cold. But Gruhon stubbornly refuses. No need, he says. He has to get used to this freezing weather anyway. Nicolo calls out from inside the carriage, joking that he must be a huge burden, an old man taking up a whole carriage for himself. Gruhon is totally annoyed. Why did you even follow us? There is nothing out here to see. Nicolo just laughs out loud. If not now, when else would I ever get the chance to witness the brutal North? Plus, the book I am writing will definitely be incredibly useful to your Highness. What an annoying old man, Gruhon mutters to himself. But suddenly, a look of pure surprise crosses his face. In the biting winter wind, Arwen's face is totally flushed. Worried, Gruhon asks if she is okay, but she excitedly replies that she is completely fine. He gently offers to let her switch shifts whenever she starts feeling too incredibly tired. She fiercely refuses, declaring that a true knight never seeks personal comfort. Hearing that, Gruhon feels secretly satisfied. Having someone with that much fiery spirit by his side is definitely a massive advantage. He watches Arwen look down with her bright red face, and then Gruhon glances back at the others. In contrast, the guys forced to tag along by royal decree look incredibly frustrated right now. If Carls were here, he would have totally whipped them into shape already. He suddenly remembers Emperor Lionel's strict words. The royal knights are not your personal bodyguards. Do you not already have plenty of knights under your direct command? Although I highly doubt you actually treat them like real knights, the emperor had added. Gruhon scoffs internally. What an insanely petty old man. That is exactly why Karls could not follow them up north. Even if his past self did a ton of crazy stuff, he is still the emperor's own flesh and blood, right? The king's attitude really feels like a bit too much. There is definitely some hidden secret here. Suddenly, Bale interrupts his thoughts, yelling that they need to speed up. If they do not hurry, the blizzard will trap them. No moving forward, no going back. Now watch closely, because those tiny snowflakes instantly turn into a massive blizzard. It becomes so insanely harsh out there, you cannot even hear the person right beside you. Bale looks back with pure panic in his eyes. Leave the carriage behind! Only keep the horses and move on foot. Gruhon immediately snaps his head back. Was that a mana-infused shout? He quickly screams toward the carriage. Adelia! She looks absolutely stunned to see his hand reaching out right in front of her. Your Highness! Thank you so much. Gotcha. Aaron suddenly rushes over, asking if the prince is all right. Gruhon calmly replies that he is fine. He glares at the knights, causing utter chaos in the back. Hey, watch out! Wait up! The wind is too strong. Gruhon furiously charges right at them. Aaron, take care of Adelia. Yes, Your Highness. You absolute idiots, drop the shields. Holding massive swords like that obviously catches the heavy wind. Toss all the bulky gear except your swords. We can find it later. You big guy over there. Take the lead and form a straight line right now. Two other knights look completely amazed. Guess we do not even need to step in. We were going to give them a harsh welcome, then help out. You and I both see it, right? The prince actually has real combat experience. Despite every step weighing a ton in the snow, Gruhon leads them fiercely forward. Suddenly, one of the soldiers collapses flat into the freezing snow. A voice desperately rings out, Your Highness. A soldier is falling behind. Gruhon instantly whips around, shoving the other soldiers aside. Get out of the way. He grabs the guy's heavy armor and hauls his entire body onto his own shoulders. What are you doing? Why aren't you moving? Yes, Your Highness. The massive fortress slowly emerges from the raging blizzard. As that hellish march finally comes to an end, an exhausted Gruhon drops the soldier's heavy body down. This damn blizzard, if it was going to stop, it should have done it sooner. Suddenly, the sky turns perfectly clear, like nothing ever happened. Bale steps right up in front of the exhausted group. He stops dead before the massive fortress gates, then slowly turns his head back around. The proud flag on the mansion flutters fiercely under the brilliant, clear blue sky. Bale proudly announces, as the rightful lord of Balahard and the absolute commander of the kingdom's 3rd Legion, I officially welcome the Grand Prince's visit today. Gruhon's face instantly lights up with massive relief. Bale smiles warmly and continues, I sincerely welcome you to the legendary Winter Castle. Winter Castle, the ultimate fortress sitting at the extreme north of the entire kingdom. A dedicated monster-fighting stronghold, built specifically to stop the horrific beasts living within the terrifying Blade Mountains. Oh man, one little mistake up there, and monsters flood out like a completely broken dam. It is freezing, relentlessly harsh, packed with extreme danger, and the survival rate is absolutely terrible. For any normal soldier, this is a place you absolutely never want to set foot in twice. It is literally the absolute worst posting possible. Winter Castle is both the greatest weapon and the heaviest chain permanently binding the Balahard family. From the very start, what is there even worth seeing in such a freezing, treacherous wasteland? The noble elites everywhere might only care about Winter Castle's massive political power. The gigantic fortress gates slowly begin to creak open. But for those born and raised right here in Balahard, this brutal place is a lifelong, unbreakable duty, and above all, it is their true home. Vincent steps up and announces, Vincent Balahard. Starting today, I am ending my duties as acting commander and returning to my role as strike team captain. Thank God everyone returned safely. Bale smiles. You did well, Vincent, Gruhon gasps. And trust me, you and I definitely want to see what happens next. All right, stick with me here. Wait, he is your son? You actually have a kid? Vale mutters. How old do you think I am exactly, to assume I would not have a single heir under me? Gruhon laughs out loud. Looking closely, there is definitely a resemblance, especially that annoyingly familiar mouth of his. Vale gives the kid a firm pat on the shoulder. Now Vincent, this right here is the first Prince Adrian. Vincent instantly drops into a respectful bow. Captain of the Bannerheart Family Special Forces, Vincent, greets His Highness the First Prince. Gruhon simply offers a slight smile. Ah, very nice to meet you. Vincent secretly feels completely annoyed. Winter Castle is a fortress built for true warriors, the kind of people ready to lay down their lives for a higher cause. It is definitely not a playground for some exiled royal punk to just hang around the local women all day, right? He glares at the knight currently chatting with Ruin. Your Highness, let me show you around the fortress. Yeah, right, Vincent thinks to himself. Why on earth did you bring a guy like him along? He snaps at his father. Seriously, father, what is really going on here? Vale replies, it is exactly as you heard. I have decided to become Adrian's sponsor, and he will temporarily be staying here at the Bannerheart estate. Now catch Vincent's reaction here. Did not the Emperor himself exile this guy for being an absolutely spoiled, hateable piece of garbage? Did you not harshly criticize his completely mediocre nature just a little while ago yourself, father? Vale gives a slight nod without arguing back at all. People can change over time, you know. There is one thing I need to tell you, Vincent. Just watch him without holding on to any of your prejudices. A moment later, Vale asks, how is the cleanup progress going with those monster villages right now? Vincent immediately responds, even though their numbers have been steadily dropping lately, there are still plenty of areas left entirely uncleared. Since you are here, father, I am planning to launch a much more aggressive operation. The remaining military force is the special team. Meanwhile, Gruhon is just casually sitting there eating his food. Vale points right at a spot on the map. The real problem is the orcs. A small-scale orc squad of under 20 has camped right at the mountain pass. With that kind of size, just using the special forces arrows probably will not be enough to handle them. Vincent replies, exactly right. So right now we are actively selecting station knights from within the castle. Suddenly, Gruhon completely interrupts their meeting. I will take care of this myself. A knight speaks up, clearly worried. Your Highness, the orcs in the Blade Mountains are completely different from your average orcs. Pay attention to this part. If things go terribly wrong, even the Special Forces battle plan will be in serious trouble. Gruhon immediately looks over at Vale. Then Vale directly asks Vincent, what is the exact scale and strength of the orcs we have confirmed so far? Vincent replies, based on what we know right now, there are 20 of them max. Although we have not confirmed any warrior orcs or mage orcs yet, we absolutely cannot guarantee that they are not hiding out there. Vale turns his head to Gruhon. Are you completely confident? Vincent quickly speaks up again. Father, the mountain pass in that area is actually one of the main routes our special forces use on a regular basis. If a mistake happens and turns that place into a bloody battlefield with those orcs, everything moving forward will become 100 times harder. Plus, if His Highness gets hurt, the Bannerheart family position will be extremely awkward. Gruhon just chuckles to himself. You really raised this kid well, huh? Vale cuts him off. Stop worrying. Gruhon, what exactly do you need? Gruhon answers. First off, I want about 3 local guides. Please upgrade the equipment for my boys a bit, and lend us some crossbows if you have them. Vale nods slightly. That request is not too difficult at all. I will arrange it. All around them, the 2 elders look at each other with serious doubts. Vincent's face completely drops. A little while later, Gruhon shouts out, let us move out. Hansdeck asks in pure surprise, what do you mean by that? Gruhon replies, we just accepted a mission to wipe out the orcs, 20 enemies with a high chance of warrior orcs or even mage orcs being there. Hansdeck answers, Your Highness, we literally have the 3rd Legion. Why send us? Our sole mission is supposed to be protecting you from any danger. Gruhon flashes a grin. That is perfect then, because to protect me, you guys have to follow me straight into battle anyway. The 3rd Legion will contact us today. Go there, grab your new gear, and report straight back to me. Yes, Your Highness, they reply. Love them or hate them, these are the soldiers assigned to me. So I have to train them properly until they are actual weapons. Out here in this massive blizzard, they honestly look pretty unreliable. Hansdeck, C-rank swordsmanship trait, specializing in defensive siege formations and frontline infantry defense lines. At the end of the day, they are still carefully hand-picked elites from the royal family, so their ability stats are pretty solid. Joseph, scouting and disguise traits. Only one guy looks super suspicious, but trust me, you and I are going to love Gruhon's reaction when he sees Vincent as their guide. Stick with me, Vincent replies. Maybe His Highness just doesn't know. If this campaign fails, the fallout will be way worse than anyone thinks. But failure? Not an option. He tells him he is just overthinking things way too much. The tension between these two? So thick you could cut it. Suddenly, Gruhon stares at a system screen popping right up. He can't even see the status window. The guy must be at least a 3-star knight. Looking at the guys behind him, only one is an actual commando. The rest? Just knights playing dress-up as regular troops. They are probably waiting for a chance to bypass him and finish the mission all by themselves, right? Whatever. He decides to just play dumb and ignore it completely. He tells Adelia not to worry, he is leaving her behind. Looking totally stressed out, she just bows and apologizes to the prince. Gruhon thinks to himself if her trait awakens the wrong way, it would be a huge headache. A little while later, Vincent just keeps complaining. Are we walking just to save maximum stamina? If our energy drops, our limbs will completely freeze up, and any actual fighting will be impossible to pull off. especially out here in the Blade Mountains. With all this freezing snow and solid ice, one wrong step or bad posture could ruin everything. Gruhon is so done. This guy nags even worse than his own father. Suddenly, a tiny white rabbit dashes right past them. Gruhon blinks in surprise. A rabbit? Right on cue, a knight whips out his binoculars. Dead ahead, a pack of brutal orcs ripping their prey to shreds. Green skin, glowing red eyes, they look absolutely terrifying and ready for blood. The knight watches them for another second before signaling the team. We have got an orc pack straight ahead. What is the play here, sir? Gruhon raises his hand, signaling the backline to load up. Hasdek and the knights aim their crossbows, while Vincent and Arwen grab their sword hilts. Now pay attention. This is where it gets wild. The orcs spot them and prepare to strike. Gruhon's eyes just light up. Hello, long time no see. Fire! Dozens of lethal arrows shoot straight at the charging monsters. The frontline orcs take direct hits and instantly drop dead. Gruhon shifts right into a battle stance, hand gripped tightly on his sword. Heavy footsteps echo as Gruhon draws his blade. Surrounded by bloodthirsty roars, he launches himself forward like an absolute blur of motion. He lets out a cold, almost creepy little smile. That thick, sticky smell of fresh blood, it is the exact thing he has been craving this whole time. Pure perfection. The true atmosphere of a battlefield. Arwen rushes forward in panic, screaming about the danger, but Gruhon just snaps back. Do not come any closer. Arwen freezes at his harsh warning. Gruhon keeps his blade pointed straight ahead, telling her to watch out before she gets dragged into the bloodbath. Over 400 years ago, orcs were not just mindless monsters. Back then, they were actually the proud, worthy masters of this entire continent. This is not some crazy myth. It is not some grand epic story, just the tragic song of a truly pitiful man, a warrior who hated orcs so completely that his real name was erased from history. A mournful song honoring his father, who fought until his last breath, stacking green corpses so high they literally formed a mountain of death. The fleeting song of a genius avenger. And from underneath that chaos, a glowing red spike suddenly rises up. He sings the song Seed of Revenge, flashback to a heavy bag of gold slamming onto Joseph's table. Sir, what exactly is the plan now? The man tells him to chill out. In this fight, they probably will not even need to lift a finger. That totally useless prince, even if he shows up, he cannot do a single thing. He will definitely just hide inside the castle and try to steal all the glory from our hard work. You see it too, right? The real threat is not that prince, it is Bannerus. Just track his every move and report back the second anything looks suspicious. Joseph grabs that bag of gold, hesitating for a split second. The man just stares him down. Are you sure you can actually handle a job like this? Joseph forces a smile, promising to put absolutely everything he has into this. Cut back to reality, the guy feels completely played. He remembers hearing those promises loud and clear, but every single word turned out to be a massive lie. This nightmare right here, way worse than anything those guys told him to expect. Arwen shouts her orders, Vanguard, hold the line and push forward. An orc lunges straight at Joseph, and the guy is full-on panicking. Damn it, how is he supposed to survive this? Then a booming voice echoes across the field, second row, attack now. Joseph squeezes his eyes shut and charges in, slowly opening them just a crack. His attack did 0 damage to the monster. They are completely and utterly doomed. Out of nowhere, a blinding blue light flashes across the screen. Arwen lands a brutal slash on the giant orc, chopping its massive arm clean off. Joseph stands there trembling, watching the massive beast almost collapse. The severed bloody arm flies right past him. Arwen turns and throws him a freezing cold stare. This is a real battlefield. Never lower your guard so easily like that. Sweating bullets, Joseph quickly shouts back, Understood, sir. He and the knights throw up their shields, ready to clash. Arwen calls out all troops, gear up and prepare for an all-out war. The enemy numbers are insanely high right now. With their small squad, wiping out every single one is going to be incredibly tough. But suddenly, she freezes in pure shock. A bright red streak of light blasts right past them, piercing dead center into the giant orc's heart. And trust me, you and I will love this. While everyone stands paralyzed in shock, Gruhon launches forward, brutally slashing the monster to absolute pieces. Stick with me here, this gets wild. He crashes into the white snow wrapped in this strange red aura. Arwen just stares, calling out for his highness. Gruhon's eyes are flashing pure crimson. He doesn't even hesitate. He charges straight back at the horde, every single step accelerating right toward those orcs. But in his mind, this isn't even close to being enough. No matter how many he slaughters, that craving for enemy blood just won't fade. He remembers someone who wandered through these exact same frozen, orc-infested wastelands. The image of a man flashes in his head, charging straight into the orcs. He instantly decapitates a massive orc, sending it crashing down next to the others. And get this, his mana reserves ran completely dry a long time ago. Yet his footsteps never stop moving forward, even as his body just looks older and weaker. That magic sword in his grip is literally the only thing keeping him standing. It's draining his remaining life force just to fulfill his final wish. Gruhon remembers that man's trembling face, staring down at a blood-stained photo of his family. Just a broken soul, completely shattered by the loss of his wife and daughter. Murdered so brutally, not even a trace of their bodies remained. And finally, standing face to face with his lifelong mortal enemy, his physical limits completely shattered. Right then, he just smiled faintly. Way too old to fight an enemy this strong, but watch closely here, he still charges right in, swinging his blade. His opponent was incredibly massive, way stronger than any of your average orcs. He slashes hard at its giant arm, but instantly realizes the orc is already swinging back. It swats his body away like absolutely nothing. The beast brutally slams him right into the white snow. And yeah, no magical miracle happens here. The monster slowly stops moving once it sees him completely fall. Even so, he refused to submit until his absolute last breath. Then, he finally closed his eyes. This is a hidden story that literally nobody else knows or has ever heard. Only Gruhon remembers it. Snapping back to reality, he looks around. Gruhon glances behind him. The knights are still desperately struggling with the orcs. Knights, focus everything on killing that orc warrior. The rest of you, hold the horde back. Gruhon locks eyes on Vincent's sword. You and I can feel the tension as a flag reflects in his eyes. He remembers that unfinished revenge epic vividly. I need to finish this right here. Then he moves like lightning, slashes hard into one monster, instantly pivoting to the next. Then, straight for the Orc King, the exact enemy from the old man's memory. Gruhon charges it head-on, explosive fire magic wrapping entirely around him. The system pops up. A new chapter has been added to the Song of Revenge. I'll pile these green corpses into a mountain, letting a brilliant crimson carpet bleed out from the base. Gruhon mutters, and I, the one standing right before you, I stand here right in front of your eyes to honor your soul. System alert. Song of Revenge has now transformed into Requiem. Gruhon glances at the knights behind him, where Vincent is finally taking a quick breather. Then he snaps the flag in his grip. Destroy the orc flags! These monsters have been completely wiped out. Let's proudly declare our victory right now. The final win is officially ours. Gruhon softly murmurs, the guy who wrote this was named Vincent Baller, right? The descendant of that family who dedicated their entire lives fighting monsters ages ago. Driven by the sheer desire to eradicate the orcs, he actually sacrificed his own life. Never expected him to share a name with that tragic avenger. See you in the next life. Hope we're destined to reunite. Trust me, you and I know that's one insanely wild coincidence.